Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm James.
I'm John.
And as you know, this is Games with John and James, the podcast where you come to for sometimes erratic opinions, sometimes hard facts.
Sometimes true opinions that you need to assimilate into your own and claim as your own.
And this week, our intro is a little bit different. Normally, you get John and I having fun with a very random topic.
We already did. You just didn't hear it.
Exactly. What all we're going to say is go watch the Great British Bake Off, and they call it the Mexican Week episode, and leave us some comments with how ridiculous it is.
And bonus points if you leave it in Spanish or Portuguese.
Or say guacamole.
Also, you'll never know which of our favorite actors is James Bond.
So
I think Seth Rogen would be a good James Bond.
He would just do everything high. So
he's already Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong. Have you seen that mod of GoldenEye where it's GoldenEye with Mario characters, and the intro is the same as GoldenEye, so it says like Head of Special Forces Donkey Kong. That is the best.
Oh no,
it's awesome. And the Mushroom Kingdom, like the Peach's Castle, is a level, and you can play it with rocket launchers. It's fun.
Oh man, so this is a little different from our normal intro. We're not going to have any reviews for you. There's no hot fire actions.
There's no replay. There's none of that stuff because, not to steal the thunder, but we've been doing this show for an entire year. This is the year anniversary special of the Games with John and James podcast, and holy crap, it's already been a year. How did this happen?
It's wild, right? So John and I, before this even started, we've let you know in many moons ago, many episodes ago, it kind of started on a whim and a hatred for an IGN list, and
hatred would, I think, a professional discourse,
a polite disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
That is a candidly big disagreement.
Never mind. I was going to say something else.
So it started from that. This has been something we had been talking about for years before that, and we kicked it off. And it's been an awesome journey with my friend John here, and I'm looking forward to the next year.
I am too, and hopefully this year will bring money.
I mean, no good tidings to you, good fortune and cheer.
Look,
bring me money.
Look, audience, you're really dogging it here. You got to get us spread around so we can start making some money. I want that Critical Role money, baby.
I mean, well, you have to start playing D&D.
I want those Bezos bucks. Also, no, that's a nerd game. If there's anything the Games of John and James podcast stands for, it's that we are anti-RPG. Full stop.
So, oof. I am going to let that one slide for the sake of our anniversary
I just
episode.
like the idea of people already lighting the torches. Like, okay, we're going to go get them.
So this episode is going to be a little longer than our normal episodes. In the vein of doing something special, we actually, for the past week, we fielded some questions from you, our listeners, and we got a bevy of responses. So thank you, everyone who posed question to us from close friends, listeners, and everyone in between. And
to those who didn't, where were you on this one? Come on.
Right?
This was your time to shine, and you blew it.
Pick up the slack.
Save it for the second anniversary when we're, teaming up with Matt Mercer and playing D&D.
Second anniversary. John and James go to war.
I think we know who would win. No one. Well, everyone. Everyone listening would win.
We'd be like the penguins in the Mario trailer.
Oh my God. Do you? Oh, can we at least take a minute to talk about that? Because you saw it, right?
I did see the trailer.
I mean, you referenced the Penguins, so obviously you did. Mm-hmm. But seeing everyone's kind of global response to Daddy Bowser and just hating Chris Pratt's voice based on 2 lines of dialogue, it's like, geez, internet. It seems like you get pissed off for no reason all the time.
There's a reason I don't stay on it. Outside of things like this and video game research and or purchases.
You're telling me that you, as a co-host of a gaming podcast, touch grass.
I live on the outside.
What's it like out there? What's the sun feel like?
Texas hot.
Oh, God, no.
So when we come back, we are going to dive deep into these questions. You're going to hear some new opinions, some stuff you may have potentially heard if you have followed us through the whole time, and some pretty zany questions. So I'm looking forward to this. When we come back, we're going to hit you with question number 1.
Bust out the clown shoes. It's going to be a fun, bumpy ride. All right, be right back. Yeah, fire.
I can't believe they remade that at one point.
They did it twice now, and apparently these recent episodes are like the best episodes they've ever done of the show.
Whoa.
Mike Judge, like, people like only see him as like King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead and stuff, and they kind of, it's weirdly slept on, but he's really, really good and has not like missed a step with any of his shows.
Amen to that. So as I said,
Mike Judge, if you want to be on the show, because you're clearly listening to us.
Hey, reach out to him. He's got to have an email somewhere.
Yeah. Mike@judge.com.
Mike Judge at judgeyou.
At joecartoon.com. What?
So, welcome back, everybody. And I'm just going to dive right in. So, this was actually a question posed by 3 people.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So, from Giselle, from Danielle, and from Taylor.
Swift?
Curry.
Oh.
That would be very entertaining, wouldn't it?
Taylor Swift. Hey, would you like to go out with me? Also, we're breaking up.
Make a song, please.
Yes.
So our
call it the mega breakup powers.
So our first question: what games or game deserve a remake, or which game would you pay to have remastered?
I think you have ideas, so you should go first, because I think I need to analyze a bit more of the semantics of this question.
So, when it comes to remake, honestly, there's so many games out there that deserve a full-blown remake, and I would like to see Final Fantasy VI remade. I would even pay for that to be remade.
Final Fantasy VI, right?
Final Fantasy VI.
The last of the Super Nintendo.
Exactly. Don't do the vein of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which
where you ruin it.
I still enjoy it. I know it's a very polarizing opinion.
How dare you enjoy things? How dare you have joy in your life? This is a video game podcast, dude.
What's wrong with you?
That's quote Reggie. What's wrong with you?
So, keep the story the exact same, because if we look at it, I can't, like, 7 had decent story. 8 had decent story. 9 had good story. 10 had decent story. 6 had amazing story. And
simple story, complex characters. That's what you do.
And in my, like, as much love as I have for Sephiroth, Kefka is the most developed, psychopathic Final Fantasy villain there is.
If you had to cast Kefka's voice in the remake, who would
Jim
it be?
Carrey.
Really? The Riddler himself.
Jim Carrey.
I was going to say frickin' like Mark Hamill. I think how we both kind of went Batman villain.
I mean, Mark Hamill would be good too, but could you imagine, like, if Jim Carrey gave the performance that he had given with Robotnik from the Sonic movies into Kefka? That kind of manic intensity?
So M-rated Dr. Robotnik.
It would be wild, wouldn't it?
It would be kind of wild. It'd be like the number 23 fused with Ace Ventura. Have you seen that cut online of inserting Ace Ventura into Cyberpunk 2077?
No, but I have a feeling we're watching something after this.
Yes, because we already watched something beforehand, and we can't talk about that on the show. that's mommy and daddy stuff.
So
can't talk about that.
What about you, John? Like, what one game deserves a remake, and you would even pay for it to be remastered?
Is it okay if I use 2? Because one of them's kind of a joke and the other one's kind of a serious one. I think, because like I think about Sony franchises. I think about games I exclusively played on PlayStation, and I mentioned it before, but Tomba. Tomba would be great for a remake because it's basically just Zelda 2 with a run button, which is great.
It was so much fun. Like that was back then. You were either platforming with Zelda, or you were like all the other animal characters,
Platforming with Zelda,
or you were Tomba, right?
Yeah, Tomba was this really weird mix of just side-scrolling adventure RPG land, and so to me it really summed up the epitome of the adventure game where you have combat, you have platforming, you have exploring, you have missions like completion and like, you know, puzzle solving, all that fun stuff. Like if you remade that and gave a lot of quality of life improvements, it'd be great. But my other thing I'll say is a bit of a joke, but also kind of seriously, I kind of want it. 50 Cent Bulletproof.
What?
Yeah, because if you go back and try to play that game plays like it just plays terribly. The aiming's shoddy, and like the theming is good, the performances are good, but everything else about it is just garbage. And I would really love to see it made in at least the way that Blood on the Sand was, or even nowadays, like with now that you have like remasters of Uncharted, where like they fixed Uncharted because Uncharted was usually pretty busted, even on the PS3, where like you're just popping out of cover and you're aiming at nothing. A problem that Gears of War still has. Fix that, Gears of War.
So, I mean, there is kind of a story out there ready to go for it. So you said 50 Cent Bulletproof, right?
Yes.
It could be the war between the game and 50 Cent, which is actually going on right now.
Again?
So the game decided, you know, he wanted to have some more minutes of fame in the spotlight. So after last year's Super Bowl, he started to say 50 was nothing, and he made a 10-minute diss video against Eminem, trying to get Eminem to come out. Like basically using like to come and battle him, I guess, but sure.
For real? Wow.
And Eminem didn't bite, and then 50 was just like, yeah, he's trash. He is not a talented rapper. So there you go. There's the story for it as well. 50 versus the game. Final battle.
The DLC that we never got, which we should have.
So, no. So, thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Danielle. And thank you, Taylor. Like, that's actually a really good question. Like, I know I went the RPG route. John, definitely. I was not expecting Tomba. Like, that one caught me by surprise.
Well, like, there's just so many. Like, it's not just one. Like, I think about the fact that they're already in talks of remastering Horizon Zero Dawn for PS5 or whatever, kind of like they're doing with Last of Us Part 1. Like, Ape Escape. What about that franchise, huh?
Well, that kind of ties into our next question. So, our next question, this is a shout out to John's girlfriend, Giselle. What indie companies deserve a shout out?
Well, how many indie games have you played?
I would say quite a few. I mean, do we count Supergiant as indie anymore, or have they made it mainstream?
Supergiant did what?
Hades.
I mean, like having one successful game, like
Bastion.
That's still like they've made one game multiple times.
So
I wouldn't
that's
say
still an indie company.
It's an indie company, but I think they've kind of had their time. Like people know that when you play Transistor, you're playing a good game.
To quote Randy Savage, they're the cream of the crop.
I still go out. I don't know.
Honestly, actually, a game we recently reviewed from Young Souls, 1P, 2P.
Yep, I would like to see them actually get some more dev time in their games because I think they need a bit. It sounds like passive aggressive, but like no, I want them
good, but
yeah, like I mean, your first game is really going to be your best game. So if they just have more resources and money to actually make like a sequel or make some new project that's really fun, I'd be down.
Even Humble Bundle, like because they were the ones behind Wizard of Legend, right?
I think isn't Humble Bundle a publisher?
Who is the company behind Wizard of Legend? I thought it was. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think Humble Bundle is basically a way that bundles games together and publishes them and distributes them. I don't know. In terms of developers, like
Contingent 99. That is my honor. That is not even my honorable. That's my main shout out.
You know what? I'll give my answer. I'll say Roll 7 because they did Rollerdrome.
Hey,
yeah, I want more of whatever the hell they got.
So if you haven't experienced Rollerdrome, it is a lot of fun. It is very manic. And John is looking at me like, wait, you're playing this? So John and I, at some point here in the very near future, we're going to have to get some time in together on this.
Wait, is it 2-player?
Online.
Really?
Don't they have an online battle mode?
No.
I thought they did.
No.
Oh.
It's a single player game.
Oh.
And also, what's really nice is that you don't have to get cheat codes anymore. It's under accessibility options. So I'm just like playing toward the end of the game. And I'm just like, invincibility, infinite ammo, please.
I just want this over.
No, I don't want it over. I just want to like, I just don't feel like it's in my best interest to dedicate a lot of time to dying a lot. So it's like the opposite of the Ninja Gaiden. Have you played Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you play that game and you die, they insult the hell out of you. And they're just like, we obviously overestimated your abilities. Do you want assist mode turned on because you're a baby? It's just like, come on. I just died once.
I mean, developers, they stuck it to us.
Tomonobu Itagaki is just a jerk. And he's not in charge of that anymore, but I mean, whatever.
You can't do good? Well, you suck.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Dead or Alive felt like.
If you ain't first, you're last. The ultimate video game, Ninja Gaiden.
Mm-hmm. Tomonobu Itagaki is an interesting gentleman, and now he's not in the games industry anymore.
I mean, I wonder why.
Devil's Third, yeah. Which I still kind of want. I want that game.
Hey, you're an adult. Use your money.
It's too expensive now. You could have got me one of those instead of a WADA-graded Sonic Heroes.
No.
You'll actually enjoy that. No, don't do that.
No. So,
all right. Do we want to? All right. I think there's. Hopefully that answers the question. Which deserves a shout out.
Our next one comes from.
This is a very pointed, very loaded question.
So Ryan Crane asked us
of the Crane brothers, like in Seattle.
Hey, I mean, he could be. You never know. Is it cheating to play as Oddjob?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Next question.
If you have put the time and effort to get Oddjob unlocked, because remember, you had to unlock him.
You deserve that. You deserve
to be able to use him. It's, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's kind of, especially with the way the Nintendo 64 graphics were, he was so compressed, remember?
I think this is the same kind of question. It's like, why is Meta Knight banned in freaking Brawl tournaments? It's like, yeah, because he's cheap as hell. Like, everything he does is, like, overpowered.
Hey, look, if you have not experienced GoldenEye, you are about to have the opportunity to with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass, to where you have access to the Nintendo 64 games. And I want you all to let us know, once you unlock Oddjob, heck, maybe Nintendo makes him unlockable right from the start, I don't know. Is it cheating to have a character that is arguably half the height of the others? I say no, because it's just comical and fun.
What they should do is they should put the Hanna-Barbera like bongo running noises underneath his feet, so you can always hear him coming. See, that way, then it wouldn't be cheating in my mind. It'd be fine.
I will admit,
you just hear me like you shoot him. He's like, whoop, 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 whoop.
I will admit. Oh man, fun Oddjob story. So we're playing. So the bunker that
here's a fun job for you.
So the bunker we played in with the proximity mines, remote mines and everything,
yes,
right?
I remember.
So as you go down the stairs to go to the big area to where you can go outside.
Yeah, where like the sat-nav map is and all that stuff.
So if you remember how there was one corridor to go straight and then you can hang a left to like go downstairs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hiding right here, not moving. And I keep turning to try and shoot down the hallway. And because Oddjob was so low and my buddy was right on top of me, when I did this, when I looked around, I didn't see him, and he proceeded to throwing knife me to death from low angle, and I'm just like, I hate this.
Ankle biter.
But it was so comical because it happened 5 times.
Did the knife stay in your body when you die?
No, but that would be hilarious.
It's like you just see one in like the grundle area. It's like, no, not my grundle. That's my weak spot. It's everybody's weak spot.
So thank you, Ryan, for the trip down Oddjob Lane.
The next question, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? 0. I throw those away. I do not like that candy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the Tootsie Pops, throw them away.
You don't like them?
No.
Do you not like Tootsie Rolls, period?
I like Tootsie Rolls. I like to do the Tootsie Roll, but no. Tootsie Pops, they go.
I'm just imagining you doing the Tootsie Roll.
Tootsie Roll.
Looking like you're vibrating into the next timeline.
Come on, ride that train. Hey, ride it.
So you like Tootsie Rolls, but you don't like Tootsie Pops, which is essentially just a Tootsie Roll with a sweet outside.
Yeah, it's kind of like how those freaking blow pops where they have bubble gum in the center. It's just like Just buy gum. Just buy gum.
So do you not like any fusion of anything?
Absolutely not. So when you told me about that amazing like Mexican themed ramen that you had, no, absolutely not. You keep things compartmentalized and joyless as possible.
Everyone here who is listening, which I hope there will be quite a few of you on this episode,
please listen, please subscribe.
If you have access to a Trader Joe's, go and pick up the birria meat that they have in their frozen section. Go pick up any instant ramen. I recommend it's like the Shin ramen, which is a little bit spicier. And pick up some cilantro and onions. Make sure you thaw the birria meat, stovetop it, like get it to nice and simmering, and heat up the noodles, apply the birria in there, slice up some cilantro and onions, and you have literally created basically birria ramen, and it is so delicious.
All right. That's our food recommendation, and that's the end of the show.
I hope
we're officially transitioning to a food podcast like everybody else. We're also going to review cartoons on the side like everybody else.
I hope I made you hungry.
I'm too full.
So thank you, Corey, or TT Paradigm. All right.
Paradigm, yeah.
Yep. Thank you for the question. I actually didn't answer it.
You took that note. Like, you're the one who knows who that is.
So, I actually didn't answer the question. So, for me, it depends on my mood. So back in the day, picture high school James. If I was having like a bad day, football practice didn't go well, or we had lost a game, I would literally be that weirdo who would just be like, crunch right through it.
Are you kidding me?
No.
How do you have teeth still?
By the grace of God.
I was gonna say, no, it just comes out looking like a rainbow, like Takeshi 6ix9ine.
Oh. But if I'm actually like dedicating some time to it, like those things could last for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Just nice and slow, enjoy it, kind of methodical, make it look very awkward and weird if people ever looked at you.
If people are looking at you, make sure you do it really nice and slow, just to really like punch it in, and make sure to not break eye contact.
Do you like my lollipop? So I was one of those weird ones that could crunch right through it or make it last.
I say throw them in the trash.
So our next question comes from a group that I participate in. It's the RPG Sanctuary group on Facebook from Norel Alfonso Nieves. And it's actually kind of it's a question that hit home for me. Why are JRPGs dying?
I can answer that question, but I think you have a different answer. Mine's a bit more like hard truth.
So gaming, if you look at gaming across the whole, throughout its roughly 50-year history.
Oh, I look at the game hole all the time, the G hole. We don't talk about the F hole or the E hole. We talk about the G hole on the show.
Oh, no.
You were the G hole on MTV, right? I do too.
Oh,
Blair Herter, where are you?
So, if you look at gaming as a whole, it shifts. Right now, our current shift is kind of open world. You look at last generation, it was Souls-esque, and it keeps going on and on. Like we are
an industry of trends, that's for sure.
Yeah, there are definitive trends and definitive moments in gaming. And the problem with JRPGs right now is instead of incorporating that trend to make it your own as a whole, some games do. Like there are some just pure gems out there. People tend to have this opinion with JRPGs that the past is right and the past is always going to need to be here. It's why, like, look at Dragon Quest, for example. It's finally transitioning away from turn-based with Dragon Quest 12. And now, don't get me wrong, I love a good turn-based RPG. Like, case in point, I'm still playing Final Fantasy Tactics.
How, we're already talking about turn-based combat, like, which is interesting because like those two things are synonymous. JRPG and turn-based combat are synonymous with each other, and I think that's a disservice to the medium. But continue.
They don't want to let go. So, all like tropes in video games, it goes hand in hand. We can endlessly quote it. For JRPGs, you're either fighting God, your father, or you're a silent protagonist,
or God who is your dad. You're playing as Jesus.
We play it. JRPGs play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few JRPGs that are willing to push the limits. Tales of Arise, the Legend of Cold Steel series, the Ys series. You have 3 series which arguably are not exactly our well-known or big series, they're the ones that are going to continue to thrive.
You started on the Master System.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Started on PC, actually.
PC and Master System.
And honestly, because people are not willing to let go of the past, it is amazing. Like, I could load up Final Fantasy V right now and fully enjoy that game. I will never lose my appreciation for it, but because we are stuck in the past, JRPGs are starting to die. And because they are going so heavy into the overly anime realm.
Fan service, you mean?
Yes. Like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a very prime example of that.
Yeah, that's why they course corrected with 3 hard.
If you look at 1 and you look at 3, is there a little fan service? Sure. But it's not the bread and butter of the game, and it's not thrust into your face constantly.
In 2, you collect women. Like, that's what that game is like. That's what the mechanic is in the game.
So you have the fan servicing, the animating, and the people not willing to let go. And as a result, like, JRPGs are dying. People are interested in your God of Wars right now. They're interested in your Elden Rings, your Horizon Forbidden Wests, sports games, for crying out loud, like Madden's, FIFA's, right?
And they're arguably the same thing for the past, like, couple generations.
If it's not Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and I'll throw Dragon Quest out there as well.
All now Square Enix properties.
So the big 3, right? If it's not those...
Big 3 basketball.
Unless you're a newer...
You see Sora, you see Tidus, and you see the hero from Dragon Warrior on a Big 3 basketball team.
There you go.
They roll deep.
And I'll even throw Persona a bone. Like,
Atlas, yeah.
Newer kids, Persona, that's their bread and butter for JRPGs. That's what they know. If it's not those, you haven't heard of it. And that means, if you look at JRPGs alone, this year, there's easily 100 of them that released. And of those 100, 2 or 3 are maybe successful. You can't have that. It's oversaturation of the market. And if it doesn't correct, outside of the bigs, JRPGs aren't going to matter.
So here is the real answer.
Wow. You were actually agreeing with me on points, and now you're just like, well, James, that's awesome, but...
No, I mean, it's in line with my persona on this podcast. No. Hey, speaking of persona. No, but I think... I think about the actual appeal of what RPGs, specifically turn-based JRPGs, used to bring to the medium, right? Because for the longest time, that was the one genre, the one type of game you could go to for great narrative, great story, great characters. And the trade-off was a distinct lack of specific gameplay. Because games back in the days when these were the prominent, like, burgeoning times were Super Mario Brothers or Final Fantasy. Like, those were your 2 games. And, like, there were differentiations between that. You'd sometimes get brawlers, you'd get platformers, you'd get shooters, you'd get all sorts of stuff. Genres were very fixed, right?
Yep.
But the one place you could consistently go to for quality story, narrative, characters, immersion in a world was the RPG. Now you can get that exact same experience in a Horizon, in a God of War, in a Persona even. So I think...
When you tell the same story over and over, the story loses its luster.
Well, I don't think that's true necessarily, because I think about the fact that Zelda games have been ostensibly the same story for over 30 years.
Until Breath of the Wild.
Well, that gameplay differentiation is not the same as story.
No, the story was actually different too. They actually introduced different story elements in Breath of the Wild.
But it's still a guy saving a princess from an evil man / cloud / pig. That's still the same story. Sometimes
Fine.
Because I feel sometimes it's not necessarily the stories that go on forever that matter the most. It's the stories that get told forever. That's why Save the Princess is still a story being told in Mario. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that, like, because of just the nature of an evolving medium, so yes, there is some stuff that's stuck in the past, the advent of literally every other genre having, professional actors, well-done animations, integrated gameplay into story elements and stuff like that. The turn-based JRPG is dead because everything can have what was initially its appeal. There's also the weird conflating of, like, when Final Fantasy VII came out and there was a whole push for, like, that's the new hot ticket, we just need to wow them with our good graphics. No, that's not how it works. That's not how, like, there's a reason why, like, you look at, like, Spawn from 1996 as a movie, and that had really impressive special effects at the time. It looked cutting edge and crazy. You look at it now, and it looks like garbage. Like, spectacle can only take you so far.
Yep. So
I think that's another thing that is just part of a fault of, like, the genre as well. JRPGs, when they realize, like, that's the new thing we got to do. We got to wow them with graphics and spectacle and pour on the zazz. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope they don't die. That is my bread and butter.
They're never gonna die. If Trials of Cold Steel is basically a text adventure, right?
No.
Which one's the one that's, like, basically a visual novel?
I mean, Trails of Cold Steel does have those elements, but it is definitely not.
Like, I bet if you ask somebody, like, text-based adventures are dead. It's like, no, visual novels still exist. They just have visuals now. They're not just text-based.
My challenge for any of you who thinks they're gone is go to mudconnector.com.
Just go find a way to play Zork.
Remember those?
Yes,
remember
I do.
Muds?
I do remember those.
So
we're old, so of course we do.
Yep. So thank you, Narelle. That was actually a pretty awesome question to actually think about. So our next question comes from Sam Harmon, who is also
Final Fantasy Modern Warfare. That's my answer.
He's also within the RPG Sanctuary. He asked, if you could have one classic JRPG series make a return with modern tech, what would it be and why? And honestly, mine would be the Illusion of Gaia series. So it's kind of an unofficial trilogy with Soul Blazer and Terranigma. That would be the one I would love to see come back with modern tech, because it was action-based RPGs. There was difficulty to them, so it would kind of appeal to your Demon Souls, Soulsborne kind of people. And, like, the story was just so much fun. Like, you have to literally, like, go through ancient ruins of what's technically our real world. Like, you have to go through the wonders of the world, like the Great Pyramid, the Great Wall of China, things like that. So that would be a really cool thing to kind of do, because you can incorporate so much with that, right?
Yep. Reality fiction.
And it's
Japanese reality playing game.
Exactly. Whoa, what is this? Why am I in reality?
I still find it so funny that as a medium we continue to differentiate RPGs by Western or Eastern. I just think that's funny still.
It is, but no, that would be, so honestly, it would be that, just because if you look at where they were back then, they were ahead of their time. You had some action RPGs, you had your Secret of Mana, you had...
Zelda 2, I would say, is a JRPG.
Yeah, Zelda 2, definitely. Like, you definitely had some...
even Zelda games in general, like, they're, quote, adventure games.
They're adventure RPGs. If you really want to get technical...
You're collecting gear, you're progressing a story by leveling up, aka getting stronger. You're playing a role. Every game is a role-playing game.
Ayo.
When I'm playing a Sonic game, I'm playing the role of Sonic.
So, but honestly, it would be that. They were ahead of their time. Like, if you go and play Terranigma, it's one of the harder Super Nintendo RPGs out there. Like, it is really hard. It was way ahead of its time, as was Illusion of Gaia. And if you were to bring that in, it'd be kind of, remember the Trials of Mana remake, right?
Yep.
It'd be similar to that, like probably a solid 15 to 20 hour game that was just enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's my series.
I like how the emphasis has to be put on enjoyable.
I'm not putting emphasis on enjoyable. I'm using that word to get you to bite.
Yeah, I did. And I like how we have to put the word enjoyable in there. It's like, trust me, you like this.
You will like this or you will suffer.
And I think I have an answer for that.
Ooh.
And, honestly, like, you said Illusion of Gaia. I was initially going to say the Mana series.
Ooh.
But I had it and I lost it. Where did it go? No, there was another one that was like an RPG system like that. Dang it. This is going to drive me crazy because I had an answer and now I can't remember it. It was in the same vein of the Illusion of Gaia and that kind of stuff.
What console?
It was on Super Nintendo, I believe. No, not Beyond Oasis. Because that's just an action game.
It's technically an RPG because it also came out for the PlayStation as well.
You know, I think I might just shift my answer and make it like Landstalker.
To quote you from episodes ago, explain yourself.
Yeah, because it became the Alundra series, and it was basically the same type of thing. It was a top-down kind of action-y game. Oh, you know what? Shining.
Oh, the Shining series?
Yeah.
So, do you not like how where the Shining series is now? Because like Shining Resonance, Refrain, and like how it has gone modern. Or are you wanting like PS2 era to Sega era Shining to be remade, the Glory remake?
I think there's just I would like to see it just explored in different genres, honestly, because I don't think an action game would suit it, and I don't think a tactics game would suit it anymore. I think it would have to be done in the same kind of vein as a Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda style adventure game, where you meet people, you meet people, you form your party, you go on this adventure, and things happen to you in this world, and you kind of take place in it. I think that'd be great.
Nice. Look at that. You recommended a JRPG for people. Go play Landstalker.
Yeah.
And Alundra, but not Alundra 2, because that one was not good.
Also, the main character doesn't have Link hair, so screw it. Why would you want to play
it? you know what, like, weirdly enough, reminded me of Alundra? You remember the Golden Sun games on the Game Boy Advance?
Yes.
Kind of reminded me of Alundra.
Well, they were made by Camelot, which was funny because they made the Shining Force games, the original ones, and Shining in the Darkness, and Shining Force 3, and Shining in the Holy Ark, and all that stuff.
So, no, that was a good question. So, thanks, Sam. That was pretty fun.
You know what? Here's another one. Popful Mail. Bring that back.
So you don't have to spend $500?
Yeah, bring that back because I want to play it. And also Snatcher. I want all the Sega CD games that are too expensive to just come back, please.
Oh, you mean for the Sega Mini 2 that Japan is getting?
Yeah.
Has?
Yeah. What the hell? There's an actual English dub of Snatcher, and it's only on the English Sega CD. Why are we not getting that?
Big facts.
There's an English dub of Popful Mail.
So you know
Sega,
what?
You're screwing up.
We're gonna move on
before I get more infuriated.
So,
well, you know what? I want Night Trap. Yeah, that's the game I want.
Hey, Limited Run, do you hear us?
Yeah, just take my money. Just take my money for this garbage.
So, Chris. So we're gonna move on. So Chris from
remake Red Fox Hunt. That game sold like 3 copies. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh my god.
It was the prequel to Babylon's Fall.
Oh my god.
So, moving on.
In real life, like the real life ones.
You know what? We're done. I'm going to reel John in. Chris from 1 Hour, One Decision, the podcast. If you guys have not had a chance to listen to that one, it's super fun. You have 1 hour to make your decision. So that's really cool with what he does.
So your friend's hanging over a vat of acid, and you're like, do you get to live? Let me think about it.
Kind of. So, but he posited the question, what's one thing you've learned in the past year doing your podcast?
That's a very it's a very broad question. Like, does it mean about each other, or does it mean about ourselves, or like our creative process, or our taste in games? Like, what is it? How do we want to do this?
In general. So that's one I was actually thinking about because, like you said, it is very general. And for me, like one of the biggest things that I've learned is interaction and engagement outside of just the episode. So prior to making this podcast, I wasn't very big on Instagram, the social medias. Like I'd post a funny meme here or like photos from the past there, things like that. Like I was never really actively engaged. And in trying to grow our podcast, like learning the aspects of community engagement, researching and diving into things like Instagram analytics, following trends, things like that. Like big shout out to Martha. She's helped me learn a lot of this. She helped me actually like navigate, hey, these are trending. This is stuff you could incorporate, not incorporate, because some of those trends, they're not gonna correlate over to what we do, right, John?
I would hope not.
So
we haven't done a mukbang yet, so good.
There you go. No, but like that's been like one of the biggest things I've learned because when you like I'm 36, and when it comes to like right, hey, surprise, cat's out of the bag.
I'm this many.
I'm this years old.
Quick sidebar. I think it's funny. I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and she's a female, obviously, but she's used to people like
she is a female. Okay, continue. That's
you got to elaborate. You got to elaborate in this day and age. Anyway, no, but she's mentioned how like the guys will like come up to her, like will be creepy around her or try to hit on her and stuff. And so my age-old defense, like if that's happening to you, so if that's happening to you, whether it's at a bar or some type of social event and some dude just won't leave you alone, they'll like ask you a question, just turn and be like, "Mom!" That will instantly be like, "Oh God," and they'll run away.
Oh, that's a definite side quest from that question. Okay.
That's what I've learned in the past year doing this podcast is I know how to shut people down hard.
Yell, mom.
Yeah, man.
Or call for Mama Crow in a Nintendo 64 controller.
She'll just come out swinging it like a freaking ball and chain.
So, but that's been the biggest.
That was a
thing.
sound effect, ladies and gentlemen. That was Foley right there. We are a professional operation.
So that's been the biggest thing I've learned is how to. So we ask for engagement from everyone. Sometimes people engage, sometimes people don't, and it's been really kind of nice to see what people take to, what people don't. And as you've seen through Instagram, I've kind of evolved how I'm reaching out. It used to be a post here and a post there to where now we have our new episode posts, our gaming news posts, throwback posts, play it posts, and it's kind of shifted to where it's now in the form of a reel. And that's been like the biggest learning curve because we may think social media is easy, but once you get into it in a creative capacity, holy crap.
Yeah, like making a persona that people can gravitate to online is not the easiest thing to do. And I would know that because I've been trying to do that for the past 20 years. Yeah.
What about you? Give us something you've learned.
I'm going to just, there's a lot of I've discussed some personal beef and personal stuff I've gone through or the past year on this podcast. And honestly, I think there's a strong at its core, there's a lot of self-assuredness, self-confidence, and resilience that I learned about because I can convince myself at any time that what I have to say does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also just as well learned that I can just shut that voice off and be like, no, I'm awesome. Like I have smart things to say and I'm going to say them and people can listen to them and take it or leave it. Like that sounds pompous. I can understand that. But no, I am a person who has spent their entire life basically saying no one wants to hear what you have to say. So having a venue for which to actually flex some expertise and some thought and creative aptitude for is really nice. Having that outlet is really good because sometimes our conversations do get heated, but they never get, uncivilized. You know what I mean?
100%. We never get to the point we're taking chair shots.
Yeah, we're not, we're not doing a weigh-in. No. But what I'm saying is that we've had guests on the show, we've had our back and forth on episodes and just be no, we know what we're talking about and we have experience to back it up. And you can at any time convince yourself, especially if you grew up, like I did, where you don't have a lot of confidence instilled in you, and you can shout that voice down. So
when you think about it, you and I have lived for more than half of video games history.
Yeah, we've seen it. We watched it grow up.
It's pretty awesome. So
remember when Pac-Man came out? I was 2.
So no, that's pretty awesome. It
also you can run a joke into the ground hard.
Sonic Heroes.
And that's the end of the show. Series finale, everybody. Good night. My God.
So
I don't want to interrupt if you had more to say, but I think just having an actual avenue for us to explore the expertise that we have and the experiences that we've had, I think I convinced myself that the internet is full of this stuff because I spend so much time there because and I have to convince myself the internet's not a real place. But no, what we have to say has value and people clearly agree because we have people who listen and have asked us questions.
So it's pretty awesome, isn't it? Moving right along, we have Larry from the Bits of Time podcast, who asked us...
That sounds like a Chrono Trigger podcast.
I hope it is.
It's the old man standing underneath the lamppost.
So honestly, we're in a Discord group where a lot of podcast creators and content creators, they've kind of gone... they ask for feedback, questions, bounce ideas off, just kind of hang out. There's a general chat as well. And I want to say thank you to all of the people who are in that chat, in that Discord server. It's been really fun to bounce ideas, just talk, just kind of have that fireside chat. So thank you all very much. I've had a lot of fun in that. So
I do agree, and I'm also just looking at our note here. Are we even halfway through?
Nope.
Okay.
I told you, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a longer episode.
This is going to be the Snyder cut of podcasts. Oh my God.
So Larry asked us, what is it about the video game industry that excited you the most outside of just playing games?
Excited us the most or excites us the most?
Both.
Because, like, new stuff, sure. Like, that's always going to be, like, a brand new thing. Like, but, you know.
For me, it's honestly storytelling. Take away your genres of games. It's the avenue of storytelling. Like, I love to read. I love good stories, good narration. I love good world building. And with video games, not only do you get it through a reading perspective, because you do get to, read everything. You get it through that true visual perspective. You get to hear it as well. So having that story told to hit you in almost all of the senses that you can absorb information on, it's pretty awesome. And it's kind of nice to see the stories from Hironobu Sakaguchi to Hideo Kojima
to Goichi Suda
and everyone in between, right?
Yep.
Like, it's really, really cool to see these brainchilds of stories come to life for us, because if this medium didn't exist, there's a huge chance a lot of these stories and experiences, they just never get told. And this was that medium that unlocked their ability to share their story.
We've invented an entirely different medium. Like, not we as in us, but like we as a
we
people.
are the creators.
Yeah, we're the one who said that Pong. What's it thinking about? What's that paddle and ball thinking about? We are the ones who asked that question. No, I'm just saying that we have an entirely other medium to explore art. Like, for as much as we might think, like, look at, Call of Duty. No, like, video games truly are an alchemy of science and art, and it's an intensive process and a creative process that really does, enrich our lives in the world of everything.
100%.
But to answer, for my answer, honestly, I'd say online gaming via consoles. Like, that's the thing that excited me the most. I remember the prospect of connecting my Dreamcast online and playing Unreal Tournament or Quake 3 Arena, or even just downloading Graffiti for Drang Radio. I think I mentioned it on the show a long time ago, but Unreal Championship, when that came out for Xbox Live, that was the first game I ever played online on my console. And thankfully I was in a group that wasn't like, it's like, hey guys, let's win the game. It's like, shut the hell up, you punk ass little kid. We're going to kill you. It's like, wow, that's awesome. Like, no.
So you remember the first MechWarrior game on the OG Xbox?
Yes, I do.
That was my first online experience. Mm-hmm. And that game was so unfair.
Yeah, I bet.
Because if you beat the game and you unlocked like the super mech, it was just unfair. Because
now these days it'd be a DLC, or it'd be like a battle pass or something. You just buy it.
Like, I would play. I feel bad because I love the MechWarrior history, but there's a super speedy little guy that just runs around, missiles, lasers, till the missiles are empty, and then just small lasers. And when it's him versus the super robot, all that thing needs to do is hit one leg. And then you're just like laying on the ground, and it was cool because like it blew up your leg or it blew up your arm, and you could still go until the cockpit was destroyed. So that was super fun. But that was my first experience. Totally random side quest. Sorry.
But no, like, I think online gaming has, despite whatever people might think of it being a detriment to the culture of, like, and online toxicity and anonymity and all sorts of just terrible stuff. No, like, I owe a lot to being able to just play with other people. I've met so many wonderful people that are still my friends to this day because we played Team Fortress, we played Call of Duty, we played Splatoon, we played Overwatch, like that kind of stuff. Like, there's a reason why this stuff exists and why it has value. So
it opened up tons of avenues of friendship, competitiveness, and just gameplay to be had.
And shoot, like, if you have a problem with toxicity, go play Counter-Strike, because, like, somebody will be freaking saying heinous stuff on the other side of the microphone, and then they'll be on your team next round. Just shoot him in the head.
Oh, you were okay. Cool.
We have a fourth teammate. We have a fourth teammate.
So no, that was pretty fun to think about. So our next question comes from Chase from the PlayCube Gamecast podcast. I think this one's a pretty straightforward one. Would you rather play games on any console, or would you rather only play games on a PC?
Well, I think that's a trick question because PC, if you have a PC, at least a competent one, you can play every single video game ever.
Yeah, so
It just depends on how much you want to steal.
Piracy.
You are a pirate.
So for me, honestly, the console, I get the power of the PC and I get the power of emulation and, having the ability to play anything, but
We talk the praises of GoldenEye, but playing that on an N64, no. Get it on PC with mouse and keyboard controls, and it's effortless to play. It's beautiful.
that takes away some of the fun that was there.
I don't know if it does.
Did you have fun when we played on the Nintendo 64?
Yeah, but it was like frustrating. Like
For a little bit, and
like,
then you
with that
got used.
controller. Like, ugh, no.
But once you got used to it, it was like, oh, okay.
I still say no. Like, if you freaking play, I would say.
So we're on opposite lines here.
I would get it's like video game drugs when like you play this old game from your childhood and it plays exactly as you remember when you're like it's just functioning. Like mouse and keyboard controls in GoldenEye is beautiful. It operates so effortlessly. It's like you're playing the game for the first time. And I'm quoting Donkey there.
So it's the nostalgia for me is honestly the big driver. Like, so I have a GameCube as well. Shout out again, Henry, Flashback Video Games.
Nice. What games do you have? Shout out the Hedgehog.
No, but he had a GameCube, so it's modded. It has a Switch where I can play Japanese GameCube, flip the Switch back, play North American games.
So you can play Doshin the Giant.
Yep.
Yay.
So
You can play Battle Stadium DON, the game where Luffy and Naruto and Goku beat each other up.
You know what's really funny? He still has some of those if you want to get one for yourself.
How much are they?
200?
Yeah. That's nothing. Hell yeah. Well, I know I'm going after this.
I'll see. We'll message him and make sure he has them in.
You just hear like it is just, again Foley just car door slam.
John left the podcast.
Yep, left this show forever.
John left the chat.
Yep.
But no, so like
I'll do the AOL sound effects again.
Goodbye.
Say, I'm editing this episode, so I can put whatever I want in it.
So yeah,
add whip crack sound effect here.
So it's kind of nice. We were both on opposite ends for that question.
Yeah.
So, the next one. So, Slade from the Video Game Club podcast. You get to remove one game publisher from existence. Who is it? And how does the world of video games change? EA, gone. Better.
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of good that EA has done, but also a lot of bad.
EA is the current bad. And it has been the current bad for 15 years, John.
I don't care. They were the reason that Populous and Theme Park and SimCity existed. The entire EASN franchises existed. They absolved Criterion.
Let me guess, you're going to say Ubisoft.
No. Honestly, I am stuck between two.
Okay.
I'd say PlayStation or Nintendo. Throw them out.
What?
For real. Like, I would say get rid of them.
What?
I think Sony, the PlayStation Studios publishing arm, they really are just going in a direction that is making video games into something I don't want. I think it's bad. Like, critically acclaimed, million sellers, whatever. I don't care. Their games are just, I don't find them fun. And I think that they do a disservice to the medium by having it exist. I think by having things be the tentpole of like a medium, and have that be things like the Horizon Zero Dawns and the Last of Us, and for completely foregoing things like the Ape Escapes and the Parappas, even the Resistances, stuff like that. The Jack and Daxters, even. They're responsible for the shift away from like what games used to be. In my mind, I'm going to say in my mind.
Okay, I was going to say because that's also like a societal shift.
Mm-hmm.
So can you fault them for following society?
No, I can't, but I can fault them for being an industry leader and being one for so long that they're either in such a, like, they're out of touch with something. Like, I feel like there is a fundamental misunderstanding of what I'm going to vomit after I say this. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of what gamers want when it comes to what PlayStation publishes. The fact that we just a little bit ago talked about how they're going to like re-release Horizon or remake Horizon for the PS5. Why? What? Imagine the resources you could take away to put into other projects. I just feel like the leadership is just bad now. I just do.
I can't agree with you on Sony. I will say Nintendo, you're done. Like, Nintendo right now, with how you're currently going.
If they went into just software, if Nintendo just went into software and they had people who would do the other things for them better, I think I'd appreciate it.
Who was it? Some video game person quoted, I may be smart, but I know where my weaknesses are, and I surround myself with people who their expertise is my weakness.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah, Bill Clinton, the video game developer. Ladies and gentlemen, he created Monica Lewinsky, the game.
That's a fun game.
All right. So we got a fun one here coming up. So
do we want to expand upon more of my thoughts on that, or was that just too outlandish that we're just burying it? What?
No, I'm not burying it. Like I personally, from my personal perspective, I can't agree with you on the Sony one. Like we can have all the discourse ever, but that would take up the rest of this episode. Nintendo, I will agree 100% on. Like their current path and trajectory is just, it's not good. When the industry as a whole, the consumer base as a whole, has certain expectations to meet and want, and you as a company decide to not do that and just be like, well, I'm Nintendo, I do what Nintendo does.
Yeah, Nintendo is not a company that...
They're not a friendly company to their consumer base. And unfortunately...
And also, they're just...
Unfortunately, because they are the kid console, right? They are still synonymous with children.
Mm-hmm.
Because of
Pokemon.
Because of that, and Mario.
And
Sonic.
Do kids... Not Sonic. Do kids actually care about Mario now?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think about it.
I'll use my nephew as an example. Sonic and Mario are synonymous with every other sentence of that kid talking about what he enjoys.
Was that injected by the parents? You know what I mean?
No. Since he's been 3. He found it on his own and just ran with it.
Okay. All right. Because if there's a natural way to find that stuff, that's one thing. But because I think a lot of franchises, a lot of things continue to exist because I don't know, because we grew up with it, so we're going to be like, this is what I watched when I was a kid. This is what I played when I was a kid.
But Nintendo gets to force whatever they want, and because it's Nintendo, people buy. And until gamers as a whole realize that, Nintendo's going to get away with these shoddy tactics.
Well, this is why it's a complicated answer, because the reason why this seemingly walled-off Garden of Eden exists is because they probably operate exactly like a walled-off Garden of Eden. They don't follow industry trends. They do exactly what they want. They make the games that they want on the systems that they want in the way that they want it. And that makes sense because we get the truly off-the-wall stuff that they do. But I think just in terms of you're going to go away. You're going to die. As a company, you're going to have to shift again. And you have to have the foresight to do it because even now, popular industry stuff would lead them in the way of you need to make a new console. You just do. You have people cutting into what you are doing. You have an established market base right now, but there are people out there where it's going to slow down. It's not going to support you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Or your online infrastructure, which is god awful terrible.
So that, honestly, Slade, I'm going to give you a big shout out because you gave us an idea for an episode because I feel like both John and I have way more to talk about. So
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with our recent episode about Sony history.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are certain companies that value themselves as a hardware producer. And then you have people like Microsoft, which is a service and software producer, which is why they feel so dissimilar from each other.
So,
which is why I hate navigating the PS5 menu.
I think both of us can say, thanks, Slade. You gave us an idea.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
Come me on the show.
So, moving on. Fun question. This is from Dave, the host from Tales from the Backlog, the podcast. What video game level do you think smells the worst?
The Dung Beetle Hill in Conker's Bad Fur Day. It just smells like poo. Great Mighty Poo, do you think that in real life you wouldn't be gagging as you're throwing sweet corn into his mouth?
I mean, so...
Loose bog roll flying everywhere.
I am the Pooh, the Great Mighty Pooh.
You're off key.
So...
The acoustics are good in this crap. This dung pile.
It reverberates.
I would also say New Junk City from Earthworm Jim.
Definitely.
Or the Snot Lagoon. That can't smell good. Level 8 might smell amazing.
So there's definitely levels when you see it, you kind of it like viscerally hits you where you can almost smell it just because the visuals are so there.
Best smelling level to me, Oil Ocean from Sonic 2, because it just smells like a gas station. And I'm one of those weirdos who likes the smell of gas. So, so don't go check my car for used paper bags and spray paint.
Oh no. So the worst smelling one for me. So it's from one of the South Park video games, Big Gay Al's butt. When you have to go inside his rectum.
Oh my god.
That has
like
got
South Park game.
That has got to smell foul.
Yeah,
I mean, they did an episode about it on Lemmy Winks crawling through his insides. He literally sat on Paris Hilton's head and devoured her through his butt.
South Park needs to go off the air.
Never.
It needs
Keep
to.
going.
No, they need to go
The
away.
Simpsons is done and old. Family Guy is done and old. American Dad is done and old. Give us South Park.
American Dad. Do not diss American Dad. Family Guy is the Simpsons for Republicans.
Oh no.
And Fortnite kids.
So thanks, Dave. That was a good one, Dave.
I wonder what hell smells like. I want to know.
Well, you'll find out one day.
When I put my freaking Praetor suit on and I go down there and get my lunch money.
Brother! So, here's a thought-provoking one. So this comes from Michael Tackett. He's one of my best friends back in Florida. Thanks, Mike. If games remove content that players paid for, example, expansions and DLC, should they have to compensate players that paid for the content in some way?
Yes.
So both
they never will, but yes.
It's a definite yes. So playing WoW, expansions always happened. You had your monthly subscription fees. Like I'm going to use WoW as an example that kind of did it right. So all of that stuff. So you had vanilla World of Warcraft, then Burning Crusade came out, right?
Yeah.
So vanilla World of Warcraft, you had, oh man, Ragnaros was the boss. Molten Core. So you had Molten Core, Blackwing Lair.
Oh, I know Molten Core.
Yep. So you had Molten Core, Blackwing Lair. You had AQ20, AQ40. You had ZG, which was a 20-man raid, and then finally you got Noxoramus, right?
Okay.
Burning Crusade comes out. Advance the level cap to 70, and then you have the new raids coming out. You could still go back into that old content and experience it.
Right.
After Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King came out. You could still go back into Burning Crusade content, into Vanilla WoW content, so on and so forth. That I'm going to use as an example of pure right, because you're still getting to go back and experience what you played, like you paid for. Because sometimes you don't have the means to be in a raiding guild, right? So you're not going to get to experience all that end game stuff.
Uh-huh.
So you get to go back. And
I'm looking ahead at some of these questions, and I'm just like, some of these we can't answer. Because I think we would go in a direction that would make us explicit. But anyway, continue.
So I honestly think, like, if you're going to get rid of an expansion or DLC, you have to...
Well, you said get rid of.
Yeah, well, like, if it...
Like, okay, because, like, there's stuff like that, because, like, that's a live service, continually generated, continually adjusting itself type of game, right? Mm-hmm. Things are balanced, things are tweaked, things are altered, whatever, right? It's a world of Warcraft.
Mike, reference our live service gaming episode.
Yeah. So for me, like when I say like DLC, I think of like, imagine you bought like a costume or like the horse armor in Oblivion when it came out, and then they got rid of it. It's like for some reason.
Yep.
Like, yeah, my $5, like what does that get me now? Oh, nothing. But like, okay, like I'm trying to think of the most extreme example, like where it's like, let's say in a cosmetic in like some World War II Call of Duty game or World War II type of game, you can buy like Nazi avatar stuff. It's like, yeah, I'd imagine like after a while people would be like, we should probably remove that. But the people who bought that, I kind of hope that they don't get their money back. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I mean, definitely on some of them. But I think like if a game is going to do right, you do what Overwatch did here recently, right? With the account merger thing that you had told me about this morning.
Yeah, I started that. We didn't have time to do a hot fire review, but I've been playing Overwatch 2, and it's Overwatch. I'm having fun. I'm playing it again. It's great. I like the tweaks that they made. I like that I can actually play as Brigitte again and win. Because, wow, they really just screwed up when it came to roll queue and everything else.
So the short answer is yes. they need to compensate players, and it doesn't have to be like, hey, oh, you spent $40, that content's gone, here's your $40 back. It could be early access to your next thing, or half price,
or like do the thing like the ambassador program with like the 3DS, because that came out and it was way too expensive. They had the smart idea to lower the price, and then the people who bought it originally at that original price point were like, you're gonna get a crap ton of old school games, some that you still can't even buy on the eShop now. So there you go.
Yep, exactly.
I think the idea of buyers' rights, like consumer advocacy and consumer rights, like I think about PT and how people to this day will not get rid of their PlayStations or install their stuff because it has PT on it and you can never get it again.
Big facts. So,
and it's a publisher's right to, rescind a product or pull things away, but it's still not right. It's right, but it's not right. You know what I
mean? It's one of those gray areas. Definitely.
It's definitely it's a darker area than gray, but
dark gray.
It's a gunmetal area.
So
because that's what you're loading up when people try to take your toys away.
So thanks, Mike. Both of our answers is yes.
Yes,
emphatically.
As I think we're consumers of consumers of media. Like I think when you buy a product, you should have it. Yeah.
If you're a consumer of medium, why can't you be a consumer of large?
There is. You are trying to bait me into jokes I cannot make right now. So stop it.
So moving on. So our next question, he was actually...
do we want to take a quick break? Because we're sitting at like almost an hour and 15 right now.
Oh, yeah. When we'll be right back. More questions.
Yeah, so stick around, folks. They're just getting good. Yep. I'm looking ahead and I'm just like, how about dance around that one?
Feature-length podcast movie will return.
The Snyder cut of the John and James podcast. More coming soon.
So our next question comes from someone who was actually a guest host for an episode.
Tony.
It was Tony Kuhn.
Mm-hmm.
He asked, why are so many games focused on graphics over gameplay? And I think the simplest answer is because once you get started on that train, it's so easy to just stay on it. Because if I make something that just makes you go, ooh and ah, you're going to buy my game.
Yeah. I mean, think about arcade games back in the day, and they would have eye catches that show you the game. Yeah, and more often than not, like it's a visual medium. If you love video games, it's like there's nothing fundamentally different between Nintendo Contra on the NES and Metal Slug, but graphics and art style. So graphics and aesthetics are very different things. But yeah, like if you look at a game like Psychonauts, and you're like, I like Tim Burton, therefore I like that aesthetic, therefore you're gonna play Psychonauts. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, like
graphics serve aesthetics. That's the artist in me coming out.
Oh, 100%. Like graphics definitely serve aesthetics, and right now, flashiness is attracting more people than substance because
I don't know if that's. I think in the mainstream, you're always going to have like your Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Games that replicate a reality. I think Last of Us also is very much in the kin of like. It's very realistic, but it's also stylized. And even like with Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, there's a sense of stylization that lends itself to the kind of over-the-topness of their game. So it does take art direction. It's not just replicating reality. But I think about how now that we have gotten those tools so mastered, now that's why you're seeing things that are like Cuphead, where it's about replicating a specific style, and that's Rubber Hose cartoons.
Yeah, I think I think with the rise of indie games, I think we could see a shift in the graphics over gameplay because, I mean, let's be real, most indie companies, they don't have the budget, period, to do what your God of Wars and
or your Starfields or your Elder Scrolls or your Fallouts. Like
your Elden Ring, the list goes on.
Yeah, there's a reason. It's funny because a long while ago, Yahtzee Croshaw over at the Escapist magazine made a article about how in terms of the AAA games industry, it seems like open world games are the only games that they are the ones that can make now because they're the ones with the tools and the money and the resources and the marketing to make them, whereas everything else will be supported by indies.
Yep. So
and it makes sense.
It does. Good question. So he rattled off a few. So Tony, good on you.
2 more in the chamber here.
So will Final Fantasy ever recover and return to form?
We'll see what happens with 16.
I think from
the Final Fantasy VII remake is, I say it's garbo, like that's the exact wrong thing to do, but from what I'm seeing of 16, it seems like they're going the right direction there.
I hope so. I appreciate the fact that they have acknowledged what gamers like, what the hype is right now, because if you've seen the gameplay of 16, it's kind of, I hate to use it, but it's well, no, I'm not, I won't even actually reference that. It's feel like when I saw it, you and I both were like, oh, it kind of looks like Devil May Cry combat.
Yeah, because they have the combat producer / director from Devil May Cry 5 doing the combat.
So it's definitely gone to the way people want to experience things. You're gonna have your purists that are like, well, this is not my JRPG, right? And
no one wants your JRPG.
And
whatever is straw man.
Looking at you, straw person.
Yeah, straw person that we make up for all of our hypothetical arguments. It's called the internet. This is how we talk now.
And that's fine. Like, purists, they are always gonna, like, there are some people out there, it blows my mind. Like, actually, it was a friendly debate. The guy wasn't mean, I wasn't mean. We were actually just exchanging ideas.
Civil discourse on the internet.
I know, that's a rare sight. But he will not play any game past the PlayStation 1 era. That is literally, so he owns a PlayStation 2 just for the up-res, and that's it.
Wow.
And when I say he owns a PS2, he still has like 7 sealed on deck for when they crap out.
How old is this dude?
I think he was 44.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So like
them old ways, man.
It blew my mind. And I think people like that, like I appreciate that because you have that appreciation for the games of yesteryear. But at the same time, if we rest on our laurels or keep trying to produce the past, sooner or later, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. Like there's things like things that are old fashioned versus antiquated. It's a very different thing. There is dissimilarities between those two distinctions. Like, there are some things that are archaic and you don't want to go back to. And then there are things that are old-fashioned where it's like, this is nice.
So
that's why people have vanilla WoW, like you said.
Yep, 100%.
I want to walk all the way back to get my gear. I want to walk as a ghost.
Pay $5,000 for epic mount.
Actual real-life dollars.
So, Tony keeps coming. At what point will EA sell their games with a quarter slot in order to maximize microtransactions?
You say that like they already haven't. And I just think of Apex, and I think of everything they tried to do, like after Dead Space 2. Like, I think of everything. Yeah, like, no.
You remember the old EA Sports?
It's in the game, yeah.
Instead, it's now EA Sports. Give me your quarters.
No, it's give me your money.
Give me your money, kid.
I mean, like, look at Ultimate Team in every EA Sports franchise.
Well, you were the one that told me that one of the people there was literally like, if you're not building your game to bleed people dry, essentially.
That was the former CEO of EA who is working at Unity now. And I think the quote is that if you're not thinking about monetization in your game design in the early stages, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. When you're the CEO of a company and your company is packaged goods, you think about monetization and maximizing profits. You don't think about necessarily art, which is still funny because this is the guy who tried to spearhead EA's transition away from that. They were like, okay, you guys want new franchises, new IPs, new stuff? We're going to make it for you. Mirror's Edge, Dead Space, Dante's Inferno, let's go. And then it didn't work. And they're like, all right, we're going to make more of our old crap.
Yeah, no, I think it's there.
The problem is the people. It's always the people.
Well, I see it getting worse before it gets better. Like,
Yeah.
Anything.
NFTs, dude.
Well, hey, EA didn't hop on that train that we know
Ubisoft
of yet.
did. Sega is going to.
Square did.
Oh.
All right, so
Yeah, but we're going on the record here. We are an anti-NFT podcast. If you're an NFT bro, get out.
you remember that time you almost made your own NFT?
No, people were trying to convince me to do it.
I was one of them.
And if I could fleece some idiots out of their money, good. But no, I don't want to do it.
So, you know what? Moving along. Tony gives us a very pointed question with our next one. Will there ever be a Mario and Sonic Slash game?
You say that as if it hasn't
By
existed.
that, I mean a game where Mario and Sonic seduce each other. So,
call me after this. I can get you some links.
so that is best saved for another one. Short answer, mainstream, no. Long answer, I think it already exists somewhere in some fashion.
Yes, I can. I have some links available.
So, Tony, get with him. I like this next one. So, Tony, this is Tony's final question to us. Other than Mario Sunshine, will Mario games ever acknowledge that Bowser and Peach have children together and Mario is the real villain?
You say that like I haven't already.
What other game?
Mario Brothers 1. In Mario Brothers 1, if you actually read the manual, Mario, our hero, question mark, of the story. Like, it's literally quoted in the book.
So
As for the kids thing, okay, so people think the Koopalings are Bowser's kids. No, they're just different Koopas. Bowser Jr. is the only canonical, like, child of Bowser.
Well, they had to go back in a rat, because remember all the generals were his kids?
No, they weren't.
Back in Mario 3 they were.
No, they weren't. They were Koopalings. They were other Koopas. They worked under him. They weren't his kids. We extrapolated that out in the American canon for the cartoons and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the Koopalings were their own separate characters. Bowser Jr. is the only canonical child of Bowser. And as for the mother, the mom's Shigeru Miyamoto. It's not Peach.
So,
could you imagine Peach giving birth to a spiky turtle? Like, you did this to me.
You remember the animation I showed you where it was like the Goomba war against Mario, and he lets one of them live, and he's like, "You will tell them what you saw here today."
That was Chris Pratt. Yeah.
Honestly, like, you can really look at. I get Mario games are supposed to be fun, but if you want to like really deeply look into it, Mario's from Earth, right? Goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, and he's just wreaking havoc on another kingdom.
Yeah.
So Mario is kind of a villain.
I mean, he's a plumber.
Luigi's the good guy.
Rosalina's also his daughter, so there you go.
Yo, could you imagine Call of Duty Mario?
I'm sure that already exists.
No. Like, legit, Nintendo backed it, and you're playing with, like, bullet bills and everything, and you get, like, the power-ups as well.
It's called Splatoon.
Not Mario characters.
Yeah, it's called GoldenEye with Mario characters. I told you about this at the top of the episode.
All right.
Head of Special Forces Donkey Kong.
So, thank you, Tony, for these interesting questions, and please be sure to reach out to John for those links.
You want your Sonic porn, bro? I got you covered, bro.
So, Ray Killia, he has
sounds like a wrestler.
I know, right? He should be. What is your top 5 first-person shooter games? Number 1 for me, Quake 3 Arena.
Yes.
Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
Doom.
Which one?
OG.
OG Doom? Okay.
OG Doom. From there, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the 360. That's the next one I have experience with.
Mm-hmm.
And then, weirdly enough, Battlefield 2042.
Okay, with the Pepsi Twist ads in it.
Yep.
I remember that. I remember Fallout Brotherhood of Steel with Ball's energy drink. For me, Half-Life. I would say.
Are we going 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
In no particular order.
No, I did. This is one time for just 5. You have to go in order because I even did.
Okay, you know what? Okay, fine. Number 1, Overwatch.
Okay.
Overwatch is my favorite first-person shooter. Next is like Half-Life 2. You said Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, but yes, those are very good. So Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament, Unreal Championship, the console versions, any version of those, they're all like I'm taking the franchise.
So are you putting those 3, 4, 5?
So Overwatch
Yep.
at number 1, Half-Life, the franchise, like 1, 2, episodes 1 and 2, that whole bit, the
Okay.
whole thing. Team Fortress 2.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Quake 3 Arena and like the Quake. You can't not take the franchises. So Quake in general.
Yep.
And Unreal.
Enough said.
Yeah. I still because I think about the amount of time. All right, I told you this in the car. So with the account merger and Overwatch 2, I have finally amassed the total play time across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC for my Overwatch time. I want you know the answer, so I'm not going to ask you to guess.
I don't know.
750 total hours.
John,
And over 200 of that was spent as Torbjorn.
John has almost equaled my Disgaea 5-hour total. Like, that was the other conversation we had.
At least I have the decency to play a game over the span of 6 to 7 years. You got that amount of time in 2.
Fair. So no, thanks, Ray. That was a fun question.
Yeah, so like I like team-based shooters, I like arena shooters, I like all sorts of boomer shooters like that. How did I not put Doom 2016 in there? I don't know.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal.
Honorable mention for me, GoldenEye.
I like Perfect Dark more.
Well, we'll get to play them both.
Yeah,
Here
we
soon.
will.
So
I like how I sound sad. I'm like, yeah, we will.
So Ray had one final question for us. What do you foresee in the future that is the biggest game changer for the gaming industry? Or what was it in the past 5 years? VR.
Yeah, VR and augmented reality.
Like 100%. Like
yeah.
Beats. So the easiest example we can show where people have fully implemented it and they're enjoying it, Beat Saber, right?
There's that for VR. Also for AR games, I think of Pokemon Go and Dragon Quest Walk and
Jurassic World, Find the Dino. Like, the list just goes. In 5 years, VR is going to get to be the point where you're picking up VR before you're picking up traditional. That's just my opinion.
That is a bold claim for 5 years.
Well, look at how far it's going. Like, remember when we watched the Sony State of Play with the Horizon VR separate game?
I still think that a lot of that is ableist and restrictive, and it's restrictive via cost and the ableism attached to it. You know what I mean? Like, if you are not able-bodied enough to do VR, like, it's not going to be good for you. If you do not have the money, that's why I call them privilege goggles.
So, yes, at its current time, but if you also look at it, they are working ways to where everybody can experience it. And that kind of makes me happy, because now that kind of seclusiveness that comes with it, because if you are not able-bodied, you're just kind of boned, it's going to go away, right?
Yeah, and I have an answer that's actually my own for this question. And I truly think it's going to be, honestly, like channel packages. Honestly, I think it's going to go the way of cable with video games. You're going to have all of your Plus memberships, your Game Passes, your PS Pluses and stuff like that. They are really moving, I think, toward a service industry as opposed to a hardware business. Nintendo's going to do whatever the hell they want because they're Nintendo. But I think the other big manufacturers out there, the Microsofts and the PlayStation and the Sonys, they're going to focus on what can we do to give people onto our service. And they're going to have to try and compete with that. So I think that's going to be the big thing, is that Xbox is already on its way to.
So what you're saying is the Sega channel is coming back.
Hell yeah. I'll play that. But no, I really do think that within the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a huge shift away from consoles and more into service, because Xbox is already doing it.
Well, when you think about that, so I can kind of agree with that. When you have things as a service, so look at Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, etc.
Yeah.
It's easier to quantify, oh, I'm only paying this monthly, and it becomes kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing, right? Look at, if you have T-Mobile, your Netflix is free. So
people are going to start washing each other's hands, to kind of get the edge on that's why there was a big, when PlayStation Essential or Plus or Premium or whatever came out, their huge thing was we have all the Ubisoft games. It's oh, wow. Well, friggin' Xbox has all of the EA games, like EA Play. Take your pick. They've bought Bethesda. They're going to buy Activision. Imagine having every Call of Duty game
They
whenever you want.
might buy Activision.
It's totally going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
Well, the deal still hasn't been penned. Like, even though it was announced, there's still a lot of...
You know it's going to happen. They're going to do anything they can to devalue that company enough so that the FTC is just like, okay, fine.
So, no, that was a good question, Ray. In the next 5 years, it's going to be exciting to be a gamer, I feel.
It's going to be exciting and also infinitely frustrating, like it always is.
Now, from another awesome person, so Charles McNamara. So we both know him as Papa Mac. I hope you hear this.
Big Papa Pump. He come in rolling with his hoochies.
Big Papa Mac.
I like how I'm the one making references.
Check your email. That's for you.
Shout out on the show.
Are MMO RPGs on a decline?
I think they have been. Yeah, I think they certainly. Because okay, can I be the one to jump in here? Because you have your experience. Because you were in the trenches and you played them.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I was an observer outside and being like, how is this possible? Because as much as we've stated that this is an industry of trends,
mm-hmm.
when WoW came out and showed it could be done, they're like, oh, so all we need to do is make a big world and let people play in it, right? That's like the easiest like gameplay concept to wrap yourself around. So
don't forget lore.
That was, again, that's what it was. It was a gold rush to create basically a living world that hopefully publishers and developers could use to extrapolate other types of games out of.
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea behind an MMO. It was to create something that people would be willing to pay for and experience that could also be launching points for new franchises, because World of Warcraft didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of Warcraft.
Yep.
Warcraft was a tactical, RTS game. Same with StarCraft. Like, if they did World of StarCraft, it'd be the same type of thing, I'd imagine.
It'd be fun. Could you imagine playing as a Zerg?
I would want to be a ghost.
Ooh, so you'd be a Templar.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, with Warhammer, too? Oh, my God. Who were the Legionnaires in that? The Black ones, the Black Order.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. Like, I don't know my Warhammer lore.
Yeah, we don't know names, but...
If you know Warhammer lore, let us know.
I know one of my buddies is going to be like, you idiot!
So, they're definitely on a decline, so...
Because I think just even the concept of them, like, look at other games that have come out and taken the spot of the MMO, and look at Battle Royale games. Look at the mad dash that was to be the next PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
And I want the age of that statement to sink in.
This is
the former PUBG.
This is what I will say. Unless you are World of Warcraft or Destiny 2,
mm-hmm.
your time is done. World of Warcraft is on the decline. So, in order for World of Warcraft...
What about webcams?
I hate you. In order for WoW to be re-engaging, they had to bring back Classic. And you had to literally repay, and replay Classic.
Yep.
Now, is that a cool nostalgia bomb? 100%. But now, it's literally 2 games being developed. Now you have Classic, then there's going to be BC again, Wrath of the Lich King again, so on and so forth, right?
Mm.
On top of that, you still have the current crap coming out.
Mists of Pandora.
That is long dead, actually.
Really? They killed the pandas?
Well, no, that franchise has been done and over with since like 2012.
Poor pandas.
You had a Return of Illidan. It was like Return to Draenor. Now they're going to Dragonflight. Like, yeah, like I can't keep up with it. I lost track, and I feel sad.
How can we make more money? That's the question.
Destiny 2, I feel, is still relevant because the shooting aspect.
But it's Bungie. Bungie makes good games.
So, like, unless you're one of those two, your time is done. There's a reason why so many MMOs are free to like Ion was initially a purchase-based game. Now it's free. Look at Guild Wars 2.
Shoot, even Overwatch is free to play now with a battle pass. Like, I think just
that's not free. You pay for that.
No, it's free with, and then you can pay for a battle pass. That's what I'm saying. It's free. The game is free, and if you don't want the battle pass, you don't have to pay for it.
Yep.
What I'm saying is that, like, I think just what the trend is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's this, in the same way where you mentioned Destiny, and the reason that Destiny is so popular for, like, at least from my perspective, was that it was a game that everyone could agree on. It was a game that, like, if you wanted to play with your friends, it'd be like, all right, we'll play Destiny. It's not my favorite, but it's also not my least favorite, so it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and Destiny blended looter shooterism with big boss raids and mechanics, which I don't care who
This
you.
boss is hard, aka they have a lot of health.
So some, yes, but some were very. So World of Warcraft, I'll use Sartharion from Wrath of the Lich King. You could fight Sartharion the easy way by killing his 3 drakes before you fought him. Then it's just fight the boss, dodge a lava wave, and beef up your tank for the big hit, right? You could fight Sartharion the hard way, which is you fight him without killing any of his drakes or only 1 or 2 of his drakes. You could make the fight as hard as you wanted, right? Now, when you do Sarth plus 3 drakes, he's beefier and more intense with damage output, right? Because they empower him. On top of that, you have to DPS rush the first drake. Second drake, you have to hop in so the majority of your raid has to hop in a portal.
I think the audience can hear my eyes glazing over, just like, ugh.
Right? Well, you have to hop in that portal, kill the dragon eggs before they spawn out and just wipe your raid. Now, while you're in that portal, you're away from the main raid, so your tank is basically in pray to God mode, right?
Uh-huh.
With the healers. You have like 1 healer, and then I forget what the last one was that you had to do, but you had to kill those 3 drakes and then DPS rush the boss. Like mechanics driven. And doing stuff mechanically driven with friends is so awesome. And it's so cool to say, John and I took out this big bad. It may have taken us 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, but it was so cool and so intense for both of us to be like, no, dodge, yeah, get that dodge, yeah. Like, it's intense. It's a rush. But now that rush is replaced with what you mentioned, PUBGs, battle royales, and everything like that. And
you can just pay for it.
That too, yes.
It's called drugs.
You want to buy some crack?
Yeah, it's called... I bought the battle pass for Overwatch 2. I'm not ashamed.
So...
I've dedicated... I love that game. Like, it's really weird because it feels like there's a lot of people out there who tell you that how you're supposed to feel about stuff. I'm like, no, I love this game and I want to support it. So here's some money.
They're definitely on the decline, and if you're not the big 2, your time is done. And the big 2 maybe has 5 more years. Unless Destiny 3 comes out, then they'll just keep prolonging.
I don't think... Well, Bungie's in charge of the IP, so I don't know if they'll do that. But PlayStation might push them. Who knows?
Yep. So moving on.
World of Destiny.
Heyo, the merge.
the WAD. World of Destiny.
We get to take John back.
Oh boy, here we go.
Into JRPG realm. So this comes from Greg Costin from the RPG Sanctuary Group.
We're gonna call him Gerg.
What really makes a JRPG worthy of a 10 out of 10, in your opinion?
Stop talking.
Well, for John, it's easy. Strangers of Paradise.
It's Strangers of Paradise, but it's also like actually giving you RPG, like allowing you to actually play a role. Like the reason why, you know why Persona games are popular is because despite their dating sim type of elements, it actually allows you to role play in a role-playing game. Like having player agency is so immensely and immeasurably important in video games that when you take that away, you notice it immediately and it sucks.
100%.
So if you're there just to kind of push a story along, I think that's boring as hell. Like if you actually reward someone, like I want to think about it from, remember when Deus Ex Mankind Divided came out?
Yeah.
I think it was that one, or the first one. I can't remember which one they're called because there was like 2 of them. But in the first one, it used your understanding of how games operate to trick you. In the first opening part of the game. In the first opening moment of the game, it's a hostage situation. If you don't go over there and save the hostage is going to die, right? But we, as people who have played games before, know that, oh, well, I have time because it's a video game. I'm going to just dick around here in this opening area and like look for collectibles and explore stuff and talk to everybody. And the game knew that. So when you did that, the hostage got executed. And they were like, why did you spend all this time jerking around in this opening area? You were supposed to go and save the hostage. And it's like, oh, it's one of those types of games, huh? And so again,
JRPGs need that.
Rewarding and or punishing player agency, actually making you a active participant in the world and story that you're contributing to. That's why I like, for all I say about Shadow the Hedgehog, that's why I like it. Because each game, each level, it's very rudimentary. Each level has 3 paths through it. You pick them. And then you get to see the benefits or the consequences of that decision making. And that can lead to you either killing the president or stopping an alien comet from destroying the world. Like, that stuff matters. Player agency, player decision making matters because we're making decisions in video games all the time. It's calculated by a button press. So when you actually want to make an engaging narrative, that has to reward your involvement in it. Period. You just do.
I like that answer. So for me, to make a JRPG worthy of a 10 out of 10. No. Stop. Stop. No Xenoblade Chronicles 2 anymore. So
just give me the bunny girl and we'll talk.
So JRPGs have kind of become a dime a dozen. It's quick release, quick release, quick release. Now there's some fun to be had in it for sure because that is the genre of that's the vein of games I like. But if you want to be a 10 out of 10, your story has to be engaging. It doesn't have to be original because a lot of ideas have been so used to the point.
Save the princess.
There you go. Like a lot of ideas have been so used to the point you can just kind of extrapolate what you want, kind of make it your own, more or less. But I want the gameplay to matter. Your world building. So I'll use the Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel series 1 through 4. Your world building needs to get me. I need to be engaged with the world because a lot of them it's like, oh, I'm just walking around. Final Fantasy X.
I'm just walking around, aka Mario Brothers.
Well, look at Final Fantasy X. It's linear up until the very end of the game when you get the airship, right? Like if you want to go back, you are walking back through all the dungeons.
Which is really funny to me when you think about how the term open world game, like the term open world game used to define a game where you can just go anywhere you wanted immediately when the start of the game happens. Every RPG has been an open world game because you can technically go wherever you want. Mm-hmm. It's just the story elements and story moments don't happen until they do.
So you have to make sure that...
The middle finger still hurts.
Completely random.
No, I just jammed my finger and it still hurts. So I'm wondering if I broke my finger or not.
Well, you should probably get that looked at after this.
Just rip it off.
So, no, you have to make sure your world is engaging. The story actually matters. And like John said, player agency, like what I do within that world could make or break it. And don't be afraid to...
Let them break it.
Yeah, don't look at Kefka, Final Fantasy VI. He broke the world. He rearranged the statues and he won. And it's a time skip. Not only did he win, it wasn't, oh no, he did this, let's go save the world. It was years after he won where your people finally were like, hey, you know what? We got to make right.
Dragon Quest V, man. You get turned into a statue and then your son saves you and then you have to go and fight the big bad.
Yep. And
that game was so good they made a movie.
That movie was actually fun to watch.
It was, but the ending was like, what the hell are you doing?
Right?
It's like you're
Cop out. The movie is awesome for Dragon Quest V that John mentioned, but at the same token, they built it up and then they just ruined it.
Plot twist at the end is a little weird.
Yep. So, thanks, Greg. That was a fun question.
Good job, Gerg.
So, we're moving right along. This next question comes from Danielle Killia. Is there a game character the developer changed and you wish didn't? I'm going to keep my answer short, sweet. Knuckles, Sonic Boom. He's a big doofus. I don't like it. Bring back cool Knuckles. Bring back Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie.
He was never that. Knuckles was never that character.
He was never that cool?
No. He was always a dork.
Bring back Sonic and Knuckles, that character.
He was always a dork, even in that game.
He wasn't as...
Because he didn't talk.
Yeah.
He just had fisticuffs. That's all he had. Also, when I originally saw Knuckles, I thought he was a girl because of the long hair.
So
I was like, cool, a female Sonic character. And then it's like, what about Amy?
But yeah,
Princess Sally, as it says in the instruction booklet, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah. Nope, Knuckles. What about you?
Is there a character that the developer changed and you wish it didn't? Yeah, Rockstar with Max Payne.
Hey.
I recently played through Max Payne 3 again, and they really character assassinated Max. They really did. The thing that was missing, and I said it in the previous episode when I talked about my playthrough of it again, there is no levity in Max Payne 3. It is devoid of any sense of fun or humor in any way. And it really kind of sucks because Max Payne 3 as a game would be kind of a cool send off to the character if Max Payne 2 didn't exist, which already did that way better. You
hear that, Max Payne 3? You shouldn't have changed.
You hear that, Dan Houser? your friggin' palatial mansion because you were former head of Rockstar Games who never has to worry about anything in his life ever again.
You failed us.
You and Sam
Failed us.
Got my eye on you.
So
GTA 6 better be awesome.
Moving right along, Danielle hit us with, have you ever dreamed about how to complete a mission and it actually worked?
Like your brain solved a problem for you?
I guess, or like in your sleep because you're so vested.
Do you have an answer for this one? Because I think I do.
So for me, I've never had it happen that way, but I've had those random, like when you're stuck in an episode of, well, I just say in an episode. When you're stuck in a video
when
game.
You're stuck in an episode of season 2 of Final Fantasy IX.
Hey-o. No, so
Wasn't that game 4 discs?
Oof.
Wasn't it?
Well, the game was 4 discs.
God dang.
I know, right? CD-ROM versus DVD-ROM.
They were just printing those things out.
So it didn't happen like where I dreamed of it, but I was stuck in a level for the longest of time. It was in Golden Sun. In the first Golden Sun, I was trying to get all the Jin and go fight the optional boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept so with Golden Sun, it's interactive. You have to solve puzzles. Like you actually have to utilize the Jin's moves and the character's abilities in order to move objects, light candles, things like that. So you actually have to really think.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out one of the puzzles. And it was frustrating me. I'm talking, I spent maybe a week and a half on this. It was during the school year as well. And we were in geometry class. And in geometry class, we were going over, we were talking about Pythagorean's theorem. And then we were giving examples and everything. And I saw my teacher drawing a line on the board and showing us real world examples of geometric lines and everything. And it clicked. It was light bulb.
Thank you, Mr.
Shout out Coach Mac, Coach McNeely. You're still in Aviano, Italy. You're the best. MVP. I know you will probably never listen to this, but you still get my love.
He's probably sitting on a table watching the sunset with a bottle of wine being like, wonder how James is doing.
So, but yeah, no, for me, that's how it happened.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I don't think I could tell you it did, but I can't for the life of you remember exactly how it happened. But I'll just take this time to brag that when I was a kid and I played Kingdom Hearts, I could beat Sephiroth without getting hit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
met my best friend of 20 plus years. I met him because of that. I told him, Sephiroth is easy. I can kill him without getting hit. He's like, bullcrap. And I'm just all right, I'll prove it.
Money where your mouth is. Oh, you did it. What?
And then there's this want to play Street Fighter? It's what's that? And then I kicked his ass at Street Fighter for 20 years.
So he's a glutton for punishment.
Something like that.
So
he's my homie and I love him. Shout out to Kiki.
Yeah. So moving along from Danielle, how much do you hate the scenes in story mode?
Is that directed at me? That's a question directed at me, and very much so. If he's saying I hate cutscenes, I hate expository dialogue, but I'm also a huge hypocrite because I love Hideo Kojima.
So you're a glutton for selective punishment.
Yeah, if you're talking about the consortium of the Reformation of the Dingle Bop, coalition or whatever, I don't give a crap. I don't give a care about that at all. I really don't. If you're talking about how a Metal Gear works, I'm that's awesome.
So
a giant walking nuclear armed stealth tank. Yeah, I want to know how that works. That's awesome.
So I don't mind the story mode scenes. I enjoy the dialogue and the story progression. I will say I have one moment where I was not a fan of the story scene. Martha and I were playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and we got to the first boss.
Okay.
Story a scene happens, and the boss pops up. Some dialogue from Tina. She goes into a quick monologue. You can't pause it.
Oh, pause it.
You can't hit pause. And the reason why I'm saying hit pause, Martha had to run to the restroom. Dialogue happens. We're playing this 2-player. All of a sudden, it's me versus boss with no backup.
And
I'm trying to be
not pause. Then?
No.
What?
I'm pause. No,
Yo.
no.
One more dig at Max Payne 3. You can't skip the cutscenes.
Oof. Yeah, you should.
That's BS because I want to play the game.
If you've seen it, you should be able to skip it, right?
Yeah. And it also says still loading. There is no way that in 2022 on my Xbox Series X, a 360 game still needs to load. That is not possible. You can store it in the RAM of the console, just like they did with Animal Crossing. If you could play a video game with one celebrity, who would it be? Hello.
Also by Danielle. Terry Crews.
Sonic.
Sure.
I'd play with Ben Schwartz.
Actually, that would be. Would you play the Sonic games with Ben Schwartz?
That or like we could just pick a random one.
I think Terry Crews would be fun to play with because how he got started in gaming is so his
son built a PC
and then he literally taught himself. He absorbed content in order to do that, just to be more involved with his son. And I think
that's heartwarming.
Like heartwarming and shows his dedication. And can you imagine the level of power?
Yeah,
that would happen.
The kind of like the smack talk over the mic.
Like the chirping that would come from Terry Crews would be glorious, and I would literally be like side-eyeing over, like, yes, say it, say it, say the Old Spice line, say it now.
This one does, dummy. Play Crackdown 3. Play that game.
Actually, you know who else would be really fun to play with?
Who?
Like just on point. Gordon Ramsay.
Really?
Just think of...
Oh, you can't believe you got me with a headshot, you donut.
Like, just think of how angry you've seen him in Hell's Kitchen and MasterChef, and just imagine that coming out on people. You wanker!
You dumb donut. What are you? I'm an idiot sandwich? That's right, you are.
I'm an idiot sandwich! Like, can you imagine? Like, I would just lose my cool. So, thank you for that one. That one was fun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'd play with Ben Schwartz, Tom Middleditch. I'd play with the boys on Continue. Like, my bar for celebrity status, like, I would play with those guys because it just like seemed like cool dudes.
So, fair. No, that was really fun. So, Danielle has a few left for us. Like, she asked us a lot of questions.
Uh-huh.
Best snack to eat while playing?
Cheetos, because it stains the controller and you look like a real gamer.
Why is this controller orange?
Yeah, because Chester came over and played. We got the paw print Cheetos, so those are special.
Oh,
I don't really tend to eat a lot when I'm gaming because I try to focus. I think drinks are more the thing that I do. Where I used to drink beer when playing games a lot, because getting drunk would actually make you a little bit better because you'd be a bit more like, I'm gonna do this. And then
so you're like Jackie Chan in The Drunken Monkey?
I'm the drunken master, yes. I would be the drunken master of Overwatch, and I'd be the drunken master of Splatoon. Like, I remember doing one move when playing Splatoon 1. There's a map where it has like a flat wall that you can ink up and, jump over the other side. Some guy was behind me trying to get me against the wall. I inked up the wall, jumped off of the wall like a backflip, and took him out from behind, and I was just like, all right, I win at life today. But yeah, like energy drinks and, bubbly water. Like, I've gotten more health conscious, so like sparkling water with my gaming time.
So when I used to snack while gaming, it was beef jerky, like when I was playing WoW, because it didn't really get in the way of like keyboard or anything like that.
You're just sucking on a meat stick?
No. No, snap it into a Slim Jim.
I'll say, if we could play with wrestlers, that'd be another celebrity question. Come on. You wouldn't want to play with Xavier Woods?
Yokozuna.
Oh my god.
When he gets mad, he just sits on the console and breaks it.
He just picked it up and is crushing it in his hands.
Oh, The Undertaker.
Oh, play with Rhino. Just break stuff.
Goldberg just gets speared when you do wrong.
When you beat him in everything and he just spears you.
Oh, man.
No. You play it with Stone Cold, he gets you a drink out of the fridge and then drops Stone Cold Stunner on you.
Oof. Actually, if you play with modern wrestler Seth Rollins, his finishing move is, they call it the stomp. It used to be the curb stomp, but they obviously took the curb part out because that's kind of offensive.
What?
Yeah, so it's a
offensive
stomp.
To who? Curbs?
So he literally it's like a leaping jump, foot to the back of the head, stomp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine that happening? You're playing Street Fighter, you beat him, and then all of a sudden you're just stomped.
I can imagine, like, 6-year-old Timmy being like, that was a fun game, Mr. Rollins. Oh, God, no!
So, oh yeah, that'd be fun. You know what? We're gonna have a wrestling episode here soon.
Another one.
So this next question, I actually didn't combine it with another one, but I am now. So it comes from Danielle, as well as you all know him. He helped us host 2 episodes actually. Brandon Laredo. If you had to live in the world of the last game you played, what world would it be? Or what video game world would you want to be in?
Would you want, because these are 2 very different questions.
They're kind of in the same vein, but so the last video game world, I'll just be real. It's Evilus, Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know if I would want to be in that world.
But you get kitty bread.
Demons killing and all that. But I could be a summoner, so that would be okay.
Yeah, like, are you going to be some farmer out in the woods somewhere, or are you going to be, like, the main character? Because these are questions you need to be answered. Because, like, the last game, like I said, I played, like, Overwatch 2, Splatoon, and Max Payne 3. So you're telling me...
No, the very last game you played was Overwatch 2.
It was Splatoon this morning, actually.
Okay, so you're in Squidworld.
I'm in Splatville, yeah. Like, I'd live there.
Now...
I feel like I'd be a James Bond amongst odd jobs.
Now, if I got to choose, though, if I got to choose, gun to head, any world, Star Ocean till the end of time. That would be...
Super space colony in the future?
Mm-hmm. And then when I'm tired of it, I just hop out because it's a game within a game.
So Sword Art Online. God. Sword Art Online makes me very angry.
The first season was good.
I do not think so.
You didn't like
I got 2 episodes in, and I was just... Like, I felt insulted.
Oof.
Like, truly. Like, this guy is supposed to be the Black Swordsman who's over-leveled and super powerful and stuff, and just lets people die.
So...
I don't care who you are. Like, that...
Are we going to do a Hot Fire anime take episode?
Yeah, all anime sucks. Except Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo.
And, Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
8th MS Team.
Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
Arcade Gamer Fubuki.
Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
G Gundam is good. There are some, like, Seed, no. 8th MS Team, yes.
Elfen Lied?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Throw that in the trash.
Well, we know John's hot fire take on anime. If
I want to look at 14-year-olds because I'm a creep, yeah, I'd watch that show, but no.
Oof. So thanks, Brandon and Danielle. So Danielle's last question. I think this is targeted at me because I think of both both of us, I have the bigger problem.
I still need to answer the things because, like, I played Max Payne 3 and that takes place in Rio, but, like, the rich parts of Rio de Janeiro, and be like, hell yeah, I'd live in there.
That's fair.
If I go to the favelas if you want some danger.
True. Now, but if you could choose, what would you choose?
I'd probably be in the high-rise apartments with all the freaking alcohol and good food.
So that's your choice. You're just going to some high-rise game.
Because in that game you go to Hoboken, you go to Panama, you go to the favela, and you go to, like, you know, rich, well-to-do areas where, like, there's security guards.
Gotcha. Okay. So, John.
But the parties in the favelas look like fun. So, anyway.
From Danielle.
Okay.
Would you give up playing video games for $1 million?
Just $1 million?
Just $1 million.
Solve some problems.
That's a yes?
I would make the person who made me promise this go away so I can play video games again because they'll never know. So Danielle, turn and look that way real quick. Sound effect goes here. Oh my God, what happened? Oh God.
For a time, sure, 100%. But eventually that itch would come back and, well, I spent the $1 million.
Well, here, because here's my thing is that I am a person who watches Let's Plays. So...
Does that count, or is that a loophole?
That is, I guess you could call it a loophole, but, like, if Vinny Vinesauce is going to play Sonic Frontiers, I'm like, sweet, I get to experience Sonic Frontiers anyway.
So, thanks, Danielle. Those were some pretty good questions. And Brandon, thank you for that one. What is going to be the game of the year from Taylor Curry?
Wait, what is going to be game of the year of this year?
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, probably.
So if we're going based off...
No, wait. Elden Ring, dude. You kidding me?
I don't know, man.
Elden Ring is going to take Game of the Year.
You don't think it's going to be God of War?
Are we talking about, like, Game Awards in December?
Yeah, so...
It's going to be Elden Ring.
I think so.
I think
depending on the award show, Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok.
I think God of War Ragnarok is going to get the Jeff Keighley mainstream BS crowd. I want to swear so bad because, like, no, seriously, it's like when Last of Us Part 2 won. I'm just like, really?
Yo, remember last year? It Takes Two.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
I don't like
Because a game with actual like heart won.
And that was the mainstream one too. Remember?
Yeah,
we watched the game. It was the Game Awards.
Yeah, it was
If
Tommy Wiseau with talent won a Game Award.
So, oh man. So
that's how I describe that guy.
Honestly, if it goes the route of surprise, like
Metal Hellsinger.
No.
If that won Game of the Year, I'd be like, sweet, I played that one.
You'd be like, hair metal.
I would actually,
hair metal.
I would throw up the double horns, and ain't nobody can't stop me.
I don't know. Like, if it goes the way of the surprise, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So Pokemon has never won an actual like game of the year
because they're all the same game.
Scarlet and Violet is supposed to be building upon what Arceus did with the complete change, because Arceus was a change of world. Arceus's crippling weakness was it was a barren world.
Yeah, the graphics were terrible because it's a Switch.
Hey, look, Tony, graphics from John.
Yeah. If a game looks like crap, I don't want to spend time in your world. There's a reason. There's a reason why a lot of open world games look the way they do. It's because you want to spend time there, or like attention to detail is really good. For all the flack I give The Last of Us, Naughty Dog like models a wind chime in a game, and you can touch it and it makes a wind chime noise. You're like, oh, or like you shoot a basketball and it deflates. It's like, wait a minute, attention to detail. So lived in world. What's this?
I think we're in agreement. Elden Ring, God of War, Ragnarok, those are going to be, depending on the award show, those.
I'm trying to think of other big games that came out this year. Dang. Like, Cyberpunk came out in 2020, but I still think now would be the time for it to win a game of the year because it's finally fixed. Like, holy crap. After Edge Runners, people are just like, this game's actually pretty good. It's like, all right, really?
Yeah, no. Like, there's been a lot of releases, but AAA ones,
staying power, right? Because like Far Cry 6 is getting a Game of the Year edition, and it didn't win any Game of the Year awards. That's funny.
Do we count re-releases?
No.
I was gonna say, if we count re-releases,
Last of Us Part 1,
Nier Automata.
Oh, I don't think that would make it. Like, because weirdly enough, for as much esteem as that game has, I still feel it's a very niche product.
So you're sticking with we'll stick with the mainstream. No, that was a good question.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be God of War or Elden Ring. Like those are the two.
Yep. So thanks, Taylor. Good thoughts.
Pokemon will be in like the honorable mentions or like the names, but they won't win.
So
Jeff Keighley's Video Game Olympics. We know how it goes.
Watch, we just get surprised again.
I'd be okay with that. Someone gets snaked.
It takes 3.
We made this new game. It has 3-player. 3-player split screen with a triangle view. Oh my god. But anyway.
So this next question comes from a friend in Florida, David Jung, nickname Astro. What has been the most disappointing story you have had in a video game?
This is where I wish we could talk about anime too. Where we had a little brief stint with anime because like Sekiro is terrible. Sword Art Online is terrible. Tokyo Ghoul is obnoxious.
The most disappointing story, man. There's a lot of them that kind of are letdowns.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Is that what you're going with, or are you just trying to troll me?
A
little bit of both.
A little bit of both, because that's why they're remaking Final Fantasy VII properly now. Like they're going to continue with their intergrade Kingdom Hearts mess that they're going to make, but they're also just like, you know what? For mobile, here's a regular one.
Like your phones can play this.
Yeah, your phones can play it. You want to play that old game? Whatever. Here you go. Here, nerd, buy my stuff. That's Square Enix.
I mean, fair.
But it's funny because I try to think about the games I've played this year, and I wouldn't say any of them were really disappointing. Like,
I think you kind of, for you, I think I know your answer.
Which one?
Max Payne 3.
Yeah, but that's like 2012. Like,
doesn't matter.
Does it say this year? Or
no, it just says in a video game. David does not disclaimer it with this year.
Yeah, I would say Max Payne 3 would definitely be it then. Like because that game is just like you took my boy Max and ruined him.
Star Ocean 5, Integrity and Faithlessness. Star Ocean.
Infinite Undiscovery. We're just naming random games now.
I mean, that is, hey, look at Square.
The Diofield Duodenum. I don't know.
Hey, you stop trolling me.
They're bad names, and you know it. Like, an algorithm is making these names, like Project Triangle Strategy. Like, what the hell kind of name is that?
Fair. But Star Ocean, Integrity, and Faithlessness. So it's the fifth story. Star Oceans, they're very robust with their world building. Like, the first one hits, you learn a little bit of the history. Second one hits, it's still within that world, you're learning more of the history, and time is advanced till the end of time. The third one hits, and you actually get like a culmination of that history building, and then you get to see, oh, hey, we're just pawns in these people's world. Let's defy God.
Sounds like a JRPG.
And then 4, International Hope, the one that released for 360 and PS3, like, hey, when the Xbox was starting to get some JRPGs, like, that one was really enjoyable. And then Integrity and Faithlessness, it's like, what if I let all of your characters in combat simultaneously, all 8, and I just make random spikes happen, and all of a sudden your story goes from A to Z to Ether Prime to B.
Okay.
It was the worst story in a JRPG. It is the only JRPG series that so we'll say series I'm vested in. Like, I will always get a Star Ocean game, no matter what. I'm going to give it a shot.
Try
right?
Ace, you earned that.
I turned that game off after 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I didn't even give it my playthrough the prologue. Like,
you done goofed.
Yep. So, no, that's good to think about. Thanks, David.
And then on the other opposite end of the spectrum,
what has been the best story you have had in a video game?
2.
Ooh.
I have 2 examples already. Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 explored a lot of the things that we're dealing with now as a current society, like a humanity right now, and it recognized it back in 2001. Yeah, like Hideo Kojima, for all of you can say about his auteurness, that dude is really, really smart, and he predicted a lot of things about just our world simply because of how much he has paid attention to news, to media, to our history, to art, and everything else, and he put it front and center in that game. The ending scene with GI, like, oh my god. And like the idea, he basically spelled out what the internet was going to be before the internet really took off, and it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be awful. Like media, and the other game I'll throw out there is Spec Ops: The Line.
Hey, I actually played that one.
That game is amazing, and I wish I could re-experience that game for the first time again.
Fair. So I have 2 as well. Final Fantasy VI, I think, is the best story in Final Fantasy aside from 9. Like, I don't think it can be topped. And I love 5. 5 is my favorite, but 6's story is just, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can just do one thing really well, and it's like, yeah, this is great.
And then, honestly, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
Really?
Yeah.
The game where you get the Rhino 2 and you go into the desert and blow up worms for crystals.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah.
That had a good story. The plot twist at the end, you mean?
Yeah.
With the proto-pets and everything?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Like, I know it's a weird one to choose, but I really, I'm a sucker for Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank is great, and I think it's lost some of its edge.
Rift Apart, I think, if that is the starting ground for them to jump forward, they started well.
Yeah, and they really need to get the writers who did Spider-Man to be on their team, because there's some stuff in Rift Apart I just don't like.
Can you imagine if Jak and Daxter or Sly got the Rift Apart treatment?
Do you have any idea how much I would take back every bad thing I've said about Sony if they give me Jak 4 properly? Do you have any idea?
Well, do you want me to drop the bomb on you now?
You do not know crap. And no, they're not making a new Jak and Daxter.
Not Jak and Daxter. Sly Cooper got re-upped, trademark, renewed.
I will say, temper your expectations, because they do that all the time.
True, but if we reference me back, I think it was in a couple episodes ago, where I was finger guns in the air screaming, Suikoden 1 and 2.
Yes.
Look what Konami did. And that is actually coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So here recently, when you see that, it's been happening. So
There's going to be a Sly Cooper movie, wasn't there?
yeah, there wasn't there at one point?
Wonder what happened.
That's fair. So moving along, we're actually almost
We're in the home stretch, folks. Hang with us.
only 2
I'm
hours.
slowly turning into a skeleton.
Only what? 2.5 hours in?
2:10 actually.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So this comes from. So funny story. This next person, James Glenn. I met him.
The astronaut?
So I met him. His mom actually worked for me when I worked at Bass Pro Shops back in 2006, 2007 timeframe. And his mom randomly was like...
this very much informs the next question.
his mom randomly was like, hey, have you met... This is my son. You should say hi. And I'm like, oh, hi. And we have literally been friends since 2007. He actually lives here in Texas, just a couple hours away. So shout out, Glenn. James, I hear you.
I forget how big Texas is.
Right. What are some examples of a sequel or series that improved on its predecessors?
There's a lot, actually. Sonic 2, Jack 2, I feel Jack 2 and Jack 3 were like really big improvements on 1.
100%.
50 Cent Blood on the Sand was a major improvement in the 50 Cent franchise.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Ooh. That's
a great one. I don't even play Mass Effect. I would say Mass Effect 2. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Honestly, I'd say Modern Warfare, the first one, is better than 2.
Okay, so that's like a little bit of a reverse then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think just in terms of actually having thematic weight to your characters and what you do as a player in the game, 4 trumps 2 so much. Because Call of Duty Modern Warfare, as it progressed, kind of realized the absurdity of its franchise and became an action movie game. Call of Duty Modern Warfare really presents everything with this really banal kind of lens to it with everything you do that makes it feel way more real. And it's like, oh, this is what Modern Warfare looks like, which is what they wanted to do. Not pro, not anti, just current, this is what it looks like.
So I'm going to start with a fun one, and I should get a smile out of you from this. Street Fighter 2.
Yes. Yes, indeed. An emphatic yes on that one.
Yes!
Yeah, they put Blanca in there. That means they win.
Star Ocean, the second story.
Sure. I think I actually played that one. But
yeah, it was...
Shining Force 2, even.
Ooh, yep. Shining Force 2. Golden Axe 2.
Yes. Streets of Rage 2.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fight 2 and 3 were great.
So, honestly, Final Fantasy 13 2. That one...
What?
So, obviously, that is...
The biggest problem with Final Fantasy 13 was lightning. Get her out of there.
So, 13 2, if you look at it from 13, it improved on a lot. It took away a lot of the negative that people were having with it, and it gave you a fuller game. The story was more encompassing, more engrossing. I feel personally 13-2 was an improvement of 13.
Black Ops 2. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. The time jumping between like the 80s and going between Soviet bloc countries, then going into the future where China is our best friend and Hillary Clinton was the president.
Here recently, Horizon Forbidden West.
I still need to play that. I have it.
You have it?
I have it pre-installed on my system, but I just have no desire to play it yet.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, Aloy is kind of hot, but...
An honorable mention from... This is just from a remaster standpoint.
Oh, God, no. What?
Final Fantasy VIII for the Switch.
Oh, with the nice graphics. Yay. I like how you can't say that with a straight face.
No. If you, Final Fantasy, so...
I'm sorry. Right before, you can have your explanation. Halo 2.
Hey, yep.
Halo 2 was the jam.
Ooh, Dark Cloud 2.
Yes, I agree.
Hey, Spear Fingers.
There are things about Dark Cloud 1 I like more, though. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know.
I don't like you. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that was actually a fun question. Thanks, James.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah. We had to that's kind of fun to actually think about.
Yeah.
Ooh, Perfect Dark.
Do you like Perfect Dark Zero?
No.
Perfect Dark Zero.
No, so remember, so you had so I'm not using Perfect Dark Zero. you had GoldenEye,
and then you had a Perfect Dark.
and then you had Perfect Dark.
Because
As much as I love GoldenEye, Perfect Dark improved upon it infinitely.
I would say so. Graphics wise, the gameplay
like gameplay smoothness, lack of frame,
you can thank the expansion pack for that.
Shoot,
I'm trying to think of other franchises.
I like how we're getting hung up on this one.
Earthworm Jim 2, I think was better than 1.
Banjo and Tooie
I would not
was
put
not there.
No. Well, Banjo Tooie was ambitious. They really tried to make it bigger, and they did. The problem is that it sacrificed everything that made Banjo Kazooie fun.
You know what we forgot to say with a game we'd love to see remade?
Banjo
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
They did that already.
No. Like PS5 levels of intensity.
Hey, Mr. Designer, no more surprises, please. If you need a new voice, if you can't get Chris Seaver to do his voice again, get me.
Yeah. No.
Devil May Cry 2. No.
Mario Kart 64.
Yes.
Like outside of it's Deluxe, right? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the new one. Is the current one?
Yes. There was Double Dash and Wii in between that.
I would say Mario Kart 64 is the second best Mario Kart compared to 8.
Yeah, I'd say so. I loved Mario Kart 64. Double Dash was fun, but I think it was like Double Dash feels a little sloppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt half cocked. You want to say Super Mario World 2? The RPG game.
I really don't like Mario World 2 compared to Mario World 1. I really don't.
Fighting the birdos.
That's Mario Bros 2. That's different. It's friggin' Donkey Picnic.
Yeah, that one is the one I'm referencing.
Oh, I thought you said Mario World.
No.
Because that's Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, I'm not referencing. No.
So Super Mario Brothers 1 to 2.
Yes.
Yeah, Mario Brothers 3 I think is better. Even though I don't like Mario Brothers 3 all that much compared to World, like I think it's better.
Yeah, so thanks, James. That was fun.
Yeah.
We're in the definite home stretch.
Yeah, we can just keep yapping about these sequels.
So, what has been your favorite part of creating the show? This was brought by one of our co-hosts that we've had on for a couple episodes, Brandon Laredo.
I think this show, honestly, is just giving us grounds to just yell our thoughts and feelings on things, and that's always fun.
It's so,
and the sound editing is so fun to me. Because guess what?
So, kind of like John, I was in a dark place for a while. I got some unfortunate medical news that I'm going to have to deal with for a long time. And it wasn't fun. I'm okay now. And I'm going to be okay the rest of my life. But it is something I have to think about. And I was going through everything like a robot. It was just wake up routine. And honestly, like doing this with John is what it pulled me away from that dark spot. And talking to you, throwing our ridiculous opinions out there, sometimes facts, mainly opinion.
Everything we say on here is a fact. As much as I have said throw objectivity out the window, we are always correct. This is our house.
It's this has helped me move forward and get closure. And it's been super rewarding, from having our co-hosts on to random reels, the running jokes. It's been something to look forward to every week, just having fun with one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been fun. I think having just any creative outlet, like I've said before, I've tried to do things for the internet for a decade and a half plus now. And I see this as very much another creative outlet. I still do all my drawings, and I still do all my other stuff I do. This is another facet of it, and it's fun to do. So until it stops being fun to do, keep doing it.
Amen. So we're going to lift this back up a little bit, because I feel like I sombered us for a second.
We got too real on the show. That's what happens 2.5 hours in.
The realness.
Yep.
If you and a video game character could hang out for a day, who would it be? Also by Brandon.
I know that this is a total bait for one specific answer on my part.
So, well, here's the thing. Do they have all their powers and everything else that is associated with them while we're hanging out? Or is it just, hey, they're just a regular Joe?
It's funny you say regular Joe, because I want to hang out with beautiful Joe.
in 2D form?
Beautiful Joe the game, just Joe as a character. This seems like a huge nerd, and I'm like, yeah, we just geek out all day.
I could respect that, but
and also he's got a hot girlfriend, so I'd hang out with him. It's like, hey, Sylvia.
I
feel like if this is for you, Giselle, you know why? But like, I feel like in terms of video game characters that I relate to, it's definitely Joe and your Sylvia. So that's for you.
So that's who you'd hang out with.
Yes.
For the whole, would you let beautiful Joe people if they got in your way?
Just sock people in the face? Yeah, sure, why not? And if he had the slow motion powers, that'd be sweet, because we'd do like, little kid fake kung fu, like, whoa, like Matrix fight. Be funny.
So they do get their powers.
Sure.
Okay. Sephiroth.
Just gonna kill a bunch of people, set some fires.
No, I just think it would be fun. And if you don't agree with him, he just like, oh, well, that skyscraper got slashed.
Honorable mention, Trevor from GTA 5.
So that
Any
one,
of the GTA 5 protagonists. Michael, maybe not. I don't know. But
no, not Michael.
Franklin. Yeah, Franklin or Trevor from GTA 5. I'd hang with them.
So Sephiroth is my like ridiculous kind of. Honestly, you can look at
because you're a sociopath and want to set some fires.
Hey, burn the world.
Yeah. Goodbye forever.
My honorable mention, Conquer.
Really? Just go get drunk with him. Hey, Conquer, it's your round again.
You don't even have to drink. Just imagine the hilarities that would happen with that squirrel.
It'd be like the Sonic movie, only R-rated.
Or the Jim's sidekick, the dog.
Oh.
Wasn't it Andy?
Wait, which game? Are we talking about the same movie?
No. Earthworm Jim.
Oh, Peter Puppy?
Peter Puppy. So we're playing football, and all of a sudden, like, he misses, and it hits him in the foot, and then he just grows into this hulking monstrosity.
And attacks you.
And you're just like, no.
Running for my life doesn't sound like fun.
Have you met John? Peter Puppy turns and glares at John. Ha 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 ha.
That dog is going to get euthanized if he even lays a hand on me.
No, that was fun. Thanks, Brandon.
Of course they're going to get euthanized. Who would want to be younger? That's great.
So, our next...
Tish. Tish. Bad joke.
So, I think our next questions, they're coming from, looks like Citrus. That's one of your friends.
Wait, hold on. I think we've got...
No, that one we combined.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, they're all from Citrus, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do y'all... Texan... come up with
That's cute. You did a cute thing.
How do y'all come up with what exactly to talk about for each episode?
I can answer this question. So the way that it used to be for a little while was each kind of episode would end on a talking point that would spin off into a future episode. It was kind of like a progressive series of like something would be raised, like a question would be posed to both of us when we were answering other questions. It would be like, we should need to talk about that later. And then that would be the next episode. Other ones, like the kind of Blue Ocean episodes, usually come from like us trying to discuss a certain topic or a certain thing that is just on our mind. Because again, we have witnessed a lot of the evolution of the medium, so we kind of have our opinions on it. So yeah.
What John said.
The history episodes are a different thing.
What John said, sometimes we both have just like brain blasts where we're like, no, this is this.
Let's talk about how much I hate esports. Like, let's do that.
Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
Easy example, because when John did his trilogy of solo episodes.
It was just reporting news.
Other brain blast. Because just randomly, I was like, hey, we should do 90s cartoons. Remember that episode?
I do, yes.
With Captain Loser? The Fail Master?
Oh, boy.
I'm not Mega Man. Oh, it's a mega birthday party. Is that a slow?
So here lately, we've actually we've taken to. So we still have our brain blasts. We still have. Sometimes we do have those episodes that do segue into others, but we've done a lot of back and forthing of like, hey, this is. This is something I feel. So, like, the history of episodes, like, I approached John. I was like, hey, I can't believe we haven't talked about the history of Sega, the history of PlayStation.
Well, it's funny because I would usually push back against those episodes because they feel rote. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, reporting facts is not something that really appeals to me. I think having discussion, because that's the whole point. We talk about stuff and share our thoughts and feelings on stuff. Even in the first episode, when we thought about, like, why is Breath of the Wild beating out Final Fantasy VII? It's like, well, I'll tell you why. It's like, because I know why. Because that's what my perspective is. So sharing perspectives and mutual understandings of, like, a medium that we both love, like that's going to inform a lot of the episodes that we talk about.
100%. It's
so many people. It also kind of also stems from. I feel like things that aren't being talked about, or things that maybe aren't being as pushed, like the Babylon's Fall episode that we did recently, where we talk about live service gaming and how the idea of you paying $60 for a product that can go away. I think that's a really big problem. I really think I do. PT is another cited example. Konami, out of spite, can just pull the product and you can't play it again.
Yep.
Even if it's just a demo.
Call back to Michael Tackett. Like, when that happens, you definitely deserve to be compensated, because that's just a waste of $60.
Yeah, it's a waste of everything. It's also erasure. I don't like erasure of like history.
100%.
It's the same type of thing where, like, you know what I was actually playing? I was playing they released Kid Dracula here in America, which was originally a Japan only game. And when you play that game in its original Japanese, a little ghost guy comes out and he has the Buddhist swastika on his head. Now, I can understand why they would censor that. Like, why that would be an emphatic thing to cover that up. But
I mean,
we know why. But at the same time, like, even something as small as that, it's like, no, this is something that is a window into another person's culture where that symbol means something very different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that kind of, I don't want to, like, the active censorship, the active erasure of things.
I'm not one for tooting Disney's horn. I will say, so Martha and I have been watching through random movies on Disney Plus. So I forget what it was that we watched, but a message popped up on the screen. Basically saying this movie was a product of its time.
Yeah. You're watching Song of the South, weren't you?
No. But it referenced, back then this was this. Oh, it was for Aladdin.
Oh, okay.
So
wait,
it referenced,
really?
So it referenced, what, like, when the movie was created, and it said, like, this is not how things are currently depicted. Please make sure that you understand that before going into this.
The WB's been doing that forever with their cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, I can respect that. So no, thanks, Citrus. I appreciate that question. She had another one.
She had two more. And of course, we're going to end on the one question I know that we have to answer.
When recording, do y'all record one episode at a time or multiple at the same time?
Like, this is where we reveal we're human, because, like, sometimes, yeah, we can.
We're not robots?
Yeah, no. How long has it been since I did that noise? No.
Season 1, Episode 7, 14 minutes and 32 seconds in. I don't know.
I have to re-edit that episode now.
I have no idea. I just wanted to see what your face would do when I said that.
How'd you know? You told. No. Like, because some days, like, we have a flow and we're really feeling it. Some days, like, some circumstances might come up where, like, hey, we travel for our job and we might not be around, like, a certain time frame to record an episode to be timely. Like,
sometimes we've banked episodes.
Yeah, like, especially also it works better when the episode topic doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to something that's happening, like, that week or in the gaming news or, the current discourse or whatever. So, like, when we did the history of Sony and Sega and stuff, like, we could have recorded those episodes back to back and it would have not changed anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, remember when we first started? So when we first started, we would record 2 a session and just rack them up and rack them up and rack them up. And
the episodes were also a bit shorter.
Yeah, they're not, 2 hours and 40 minutes?
2.5 right now.
Hey, full-length Marvel movie.
Why does every movie have to be 2.5 hours long?
So yeah, no. Now it's basically like we'll record one a week. We'll do our research. We kind of go back and forth on our topic to make sure, hey, is this relevant? Something we want to talk about? Is this, like, the right mood for the week?
It's also something that contextualizes things a bit better, because, like, I want to know what, like, hey, what are you doing this week? And we actually have things we can talk about because we live a life outside of the show.
You remember when we were having to play, like, mental math with, you remember a couple weeks ago from this? Or...
Yeah, we kept it really vague. We really did. And, like, I mean, inside
that
baseball.
One time with that one place and that one thing and that one person.
Yeah, keep it vague. It's like Marvel Comics. It's like, when did that happen? A few years ago. Shifty eyes.
What's a few years ago?
More
or less 20.
The civil rights movement. A few years ago.
Oh, man. Yeah, so now...
When did Iran-Contra happen? A few years ago.
So now it's one a week, and it does give us a lot more time to kind of research, weed out some of the stuff. So Less rambling, more fun with the episode.
Yeah. True facts.
And my favorite question from this person, and it's the last question that we have from all of you.
I am going to ask this question. What exactly got to start the entire Sonic Heroes virus?
No, I want you to ask the question with the first part as well.
An extra question for James specifically, if I may.
Specifically?
I slur. I've been talking for 2.5 hours straight, so give me a break. An extra question for James specifically, if I may. What exactly got you to start the entire Sonic Heroes virus? And I think I know, but you're more than welcome to correct me. It's because of your nephew, right? Because he fell in love with Sonic and listened to the song ad nauseum.
So, kind of, yes. So...
Very banal answer, really. I'm trying to steal as much thunder from you as possible about this.
You're not going to steal the thunder because you're about to get a few more surprises brought on you with this.
If you give me another graded sealed copy, I will actually key your car.
There might be a graded copy of Sonic and the Secret Rings coming. I don't know.
I'm going to key your car.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
The grade for that is $10.
I'm going to freaking key your car, and it will say...
You'll $10 worth of keying my car, so it's going to be just like a little scratch.
It'll be like with a toothpick, and I'll actually draw Sonic's face, giving you a wink in the middle finger.
So my nephew, as you all know, my nephew is one of the biggest proponents of Sonic love there is.
And how old is your nephew again?
He is 6 now. So
okay, a little kid.
So at my wedding, back at the end of August, John actually even had a moment with my nephew. My nephew's running around trying to race people. He's running like Sonic with his arms back. And John is like, "Hey, have you seen Sonic Frontiers?" And my nephew literally stops. He's like, "No, what?" And
it was really cute.
Like his unabashed love for Sonic, it kind of warms your heart because it's that childlike innocence that we don't really have as adults anymore when it comes to a lot of the things we enjoy. We enjoy them by proxy or as a default of we've had them throughout our lives. But it's not like it was when you were 6 years old opening up Sonic Spinball at Christmas with your brother.
Yep. That was a good Christmas.
So
I also got comics.
Thinking about that, it warmed my heart. And then I was like, John has trolled me. And he has trolled me multiple times on this episode. How do I get back at John? And by episode, I mean multiple episodes. So when John first...
Yeah, we actually hate each other outside of the show. We're not friends.
So to let you know the level of trolling that happens between John and I. When John first moved here, so he arrives, gets stationed here, and he's checking into our unit after he's done everything he needs to do, blase, blase. John comes into the office, and it is literally hundreds of army men all over his desk.
That is very charitable. It was like maybe a dozen.
No, it was the 100-pack. Not hundreds, 100.
Okay.
Sorry.
Semantics, they matter.
And I remember John let a little blip of emotion pop over his face. Like it was like a slight little curl of the smile. And then he's just like, oh, this is cool. And then he just picked him up and moved him away. So he didn't really fully let you know what he thought.
I was in full parade rest Nathan Fielder mode when I came out of tech school.
I know. John was very by the books, as we say.
Yeah, I was blue-blooded.
So I was like, I have to top that. And then John let slip on air his least favorite Sonic game of all time. So
I wonder what that one is.
Sonic
Lost World.
Sonic Adventure.
No, God, if you gave me 50 copies of Sonic Adventure, that would be expensive.
You would hold those forever, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. I'd autograph them as well.
And never give them away.
Exactly. Of my collection. I feel like playing this copy today.
I autographed this for myself. This is for John, month day 1.
Yes, I'm playing one every month, every day.
So that got me started to think. And then my nephew started talking about a game of Virus. Now, his game of Virus was very brutal. So picture kindergarten playground, and my nephew or whoever's kid, they're the beginning of the virus. So the way they infect the other kids is they have to hit them in the face with a dodgeball.
Damn.
I was like, Richard, no, you can't do that.
Wear a helmet.
He's like, And his answer was so cute and terrifying. He's like, but it's really fun to see him get hit.
Sounds like me.
You can't fault that logic, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
So I was like, I can't do that to John because that's like
Assault.
horrible assault and hazing.
Manslaughter.
But what can I do with a game of, oh, light bulb? Because the rules were, to get rid of the virus, you had to catch the ball and hit the person who infected you. So if Richard infected someone and that person infected someone else, that other person has to catch it and throw it back and hit the person who infected him in the face.
Right.
Or you have to hit the original virus in the face, and that kills all the viruses. And they're playing with like 15 balls.
Okay, so it's like freeze tag, only you're getting pelted.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, so that answers your question, and
then
thank God it's over.
I went off the rails, and I decided I'm getting all of these copies, and it is not over, John. There's still one more copy in the office.
Mm-hmm.
No, literally, there's just one left. It's not like a manual or anything like that. There's
Are they taped to the bottom of desks, or do I have to look?
No, so it's not taped anywhere. It's one of those you're going to have to look.
So in the ceiling again.
No, none of that, because So when I told John I was also hiding them in the ceiling, this genius of a person punched a ceiling tile.
Yeah.
And it's still not fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, it put an end to what you were doing right away.
He has problems.
I don't have problems, I have solutions, and it's to punch things.
So
I can fix the tile anytime I want. I just want that to be a reminder to everybody. Do not put video games in my ceiling. It's a very specific reminder for you.
What if it's a video game you want?
Well, then there's gonna be giant John-shaped holes that are in the ceiling.
You're just bouncing up, your head pops up. Where? Where
is it? Swear to me.
Where is the treasure? But so
tell me about the rabbits.
So that's how that came to be. I'm happy John was able to finally find it. I'm also happy that just when he was thinking they were just a giant gaslit lie was when he started to uncover them. And he gives me this look of, I really hate you.
I also like how you decided arbitrarily that one game day ended when I was still looking for stuff.
You gave up.
I didn't give up. You called the game over, which is not in the rules.
I was like, do you want me to show you where it is?
I said no.
Yes.
I said no.
No, you said yes.
No.
Yes.
I did not.
Okay, let's be real. Explain to the people the odds of you finding where it was that week. Explain to the people.
That week?
Yeah.
Very high, because you said that I already brushed aside where it was, and just because I was tired and took a break because we also work for a freaking living, I was like, you know what? I'll check his desk again later. And then you're like, oh, by the way, it's over here.
You couldn't reach it. Your hands are too big.
I could have found it. My
How?
hands get in all sorts of tight places.
But no, so the game has not actually ended. There's one just fun copy in play that I just completely forgot about.
No. The game's over. We're now in like 100% completion. That's the difference here.
Also, what I did mention in a previous episode, I am honestly considering getting 52 copies of Bubsy 3D.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because I like your pain.
See, if I was a sociopath like you, I would know exactly how to push your buttons, and you would not like that. No one would like that.
I mean,
if my letter opener wasn't packed away, I'd give you such a stabbing.
You said you liked Bubsy 3D.
When I was a baby. I think those are my exact words, when I was 4.
I mean, these ones you can keep.
Coasters. All right. But yes, after almost a feature-length Marvel movie, we are officially done with all of the questions. So that last question got a bit heated, so we're going to take another quick break right here for some music, and we're going to take it to the outro. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Better intro. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Now that we're zen and away from Sonic and the Secret Rings.
I'm going to pose a question.
Okay.
What is next for us on the show?
Honestly, so we're gonna keep doing this. This is so much fun, and we love talking with you about all of these ideas. And thank you for the questions. This, like, I don't know about you, John, but I've had a lot of fun this episode.
This has been a fun episode, and I was actually surprised because, like, I don't know, maybe it's, again, that part of me that's a bit jaded because I've been trying to get things to work on the internet for the past God knows how long.
And now it is!
Yeah, because people actually had questions. That's new to me. People actually want engagement.
Aren't you happy that I used to be a salesman as well?
It's better than being an artist.
A selling artist.
A sellout.
Heyo.
There you go.
Honestly, what's next is we have made quite a few promises and stuff that we're trying to deliver to you, but John and I had a deep conversation at breakfast before recording this.
It was about certain politics we won't talk about here.
This week coming up after you hear this, we are going to be storyboarding and getting ready the pilot episode for the video game doctors. And we are actually going to be pushing stuff out to TikTok and YouTube in a visual format. So
I can have my blood.
it's kind of trepidatious to go into new territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we want to be very cautious. And I think that's kind of the thing that's kind of held us back a little bit when it comes to giving you guys some potential visual information, because we very easily could have, during the duration of this podcast, webcam, set up a little recorder, set it side by side, boom. We could have also done that as well, but
it's kind of the production that we have for the show. My biggest push, even at the start, was to just make a thing and to make a thing as quickly as possible to actually deliver on the idea that we had. And now that we have been doing that for a year now, it's time to branch out and try new stuff. Like we've been trying to do.
It's time to level up.
Yes. Exodia, Obliterate, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Blue Eyes White Dragon!
Duel Masters, yeah.
Oh, there's an episode. Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. Why are they weird? Except for Duel of the Roses.
What do you mean, why are they weird? It's already a weird concept. It's just, it's anime magic cards.
I want to get the little blades again and go sword fighting again.
Oh my god.
But no, so that's where we go, John.
Yeah, we're going to go and just try and make more stuff for you guys. Really, that's it. We've wanted to do it, so we're going to keep trying. Like, I still have my Splatoon blog post on deck. I have a couple more ideas. I'll tease them here. I think cringe doesn't exist. So shut the hell up about cringe. And I'm going to tell you why.
I have my first retro video game review that I have to get over for our blog, and you are hearing it first here. The man, the myth, the legend, the number one.
There's no R's to roll in legend.
Legend.
Promotion.
Chrono Trigger. Retro review. Without the nostalgia goggles.
That's impossible.
No.
That is impossible.
When you read it, you will find out.
Fine, but I am already saying, I'm already writing that off as impossible.
So you'll see. But if you...
Promotion. I just want to do that again.
Promotion.
Snooping as usual, eh?
So if you have followed us on any of the socials, we did start off as a Facebook group. That's kind of fallen to the wayside. Our Instagram has become, I don't want to say very engaged, but it has evolved. Like, it's not just a static post.
People like looking at your mug talk about video games.
Like,
so
John and I are both doing reels. We're getting more active. Martha, so shout out to my wife. She's actually...
You're married?
What?
I'm totally...
They can get married?
No.
And it's not a waifu?
It's not a body pillow? No.
No, now it's an artificial robot. Thanks, Japan.
Oh my god, you're right. I want to go to that mannequin city and try and shout up the locals.
So Martha actually keeps up to date with some, because she, for lack of a better expression, her like ears to the ground, foot's on the pedal, and when it comes to like current trends and popular things, like without her, neither John nor myself would have known about the Corn Kid. It's corn.
Yeah, it's got the juice.
It's a big lump of knobs.
Oh my god.
that kid was adorable.
It was adorable, but I'm also just like, Viners are back.
So I want to incorporate some of those modern things, but with gaming, because if you look at it, people do it for their families, for their children, for sports, for food, for pretty much everything, but you don't see it with video games. So from a creative outlet, I want to find a way to make that flow with video games. You guys may like it. You may hate it. You could roast me in the comments, but I'm going to try. So visual mediums are going to be coming your way.
Yep.
John is over here like, I'm not singing the corn song.
No, I'm not. That's a huge no-go on my end, bro. I'm sorry, it's a no for me, dog.
So you know where to find us. Instagram at Games with John and James. When our TikTok, so ironically, we're also going to TikTok with these visual mediums. The talk, no!
It sounds like a STD. The talk. He's got the talk in him.
So
he's got the taco.
Yeah. So we're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. You know where to find us.
On Twitter with Games with J&J.
And thank you again for everybody who asked a question. If you are listening and you heard us reference those other podcasts, make sure to give them a listen as well. There were quite a few of them, and you may find another show you may like. You may find a show you don't like, but hey, you won't know till you listen.
You'll find a show you don't like, and you'll emphatically tell them.
So thank you, everyone, so much for your questions. I had a blast with this episode, but I am out. I'm going to go relax and let John edit. Basically, actually, hey, this is like almost the length of Rose Red, the 2-part like mega series Stephen King movie.
Who's Stephen King? That's my default answer. If it's like, who?
Actually, some friends of mine just posted some photos. Apparently, like up in Maine, there's like this big area just dedicated to him. So it had like Pennywise in the Gutter. It had Georgie's Great. Like it had all like iconic moments from Stephen King movies. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool and creepy.
Yeah, because that's what I want to do when it's freaking. When I go to Maine, I want to get eaten by a Satan clown. That's also made out of centipede.
Alien spider, not centipede. Get it right.
Shut up.
So, as you know, with that, I'm James.
I'm John, and I'm tired.
John's like, my boy hurt.
My scrolling thumb is in effect. I'm just like, oh god.
So this has been our 1-year anniversary. Thank you for everybody who has stuck with us for this year. We have many years to come. I don't foresee this stopping anytime soon. I have a blast with John, and I'm going to keep doing this until the cows come home.
Sure.
John was mid-yawn, so he could not say anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm spent, like, forever. Like, holy crap, this was a 3-hour episode.
John is brain dead. So with that, we will see you for next episode. Bye, everybody!
See you next year.
Giggity.